Words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in hopes that we would say it first. But truth must be told. Get him in here. You don't want to miss this. Hit that like. Hey, Rod, peace and love. Hey, shout out to all the matriarchs on the land. Right, today is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the matriarchs and all the women on the land that that's pumping the babies out. We need more babies, right?
So
Go ahead, Rod. You want to say something, Rod?
go ahead, Elder. Finish your opening.
And I want to say to free all the political prisoners. And this is the part right here. Don't let this right here is a heavy duty class. This is the part where we put another dent or crack the devil in his head, crack the dragon, slay the dragon. We're finna slay the dragon tonight. This is another part of slaying the dragon right here. You know what I'm saying? We gotta honor our mothers and our fathers so that our days will be longer. They made us forget about who we were. And so this is another reminder of who we are. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Rod. I'm going to be sharing my screen to bring up that first slide for you, though.
Okay. So today's Sunday School Mother's Day class is the imposters on the land in an occupied police state. This is the subject matter today, occupied territory in a police state. So what most of us is unaware of is the reason you see police everywhere you go is because that is the from the London, England occupancy. You gotta always remember this first slide. Whenever we do a topic, you gotta remember this slide. And everything that we do, according to the oral tradition of the tribes, is put in the public domain on a time-stamped archivable format. Because notice to agent is notice to principle. If you have larger than 1,000 people's reach, it qualifies as public notice. We needed this part because we see right here the Mandatory Act to the Trading with the Enemy Act of October the 6th, 1917. Namely, the Emergency Banking Relief Act of March the 9th, 1933. Define the American people as the enemy legally of the United States government because of the U.S. bankruptcy through which the private international Federal Reserve System became the government creditor of the United States. See ramifications of the bankruptcy, the nature of the Federal Reserve notes in appendix. Okay, now, this is out of Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition under military. Mm-hmm. This is because they got to always give us an opportunity to discover what they're doing, even if they don't tell us what they're doing. They go overseas and reenact our invasion in other foreign countries in our face, playing with us behind our back. We've seen them after 9/11 go into Iraq. We've seen them after 9/11 go into Afghanistan. But we forgot about the fact that in 91, they had already went into Iraq with bombs, right? We forgot that under the Clinton administration, Operation Desert Fox, they went back into Iraq. Saddam Hussein in the early 1980s was America's #1 ally in the Middle East. So if that's how they treat their allies, how will they treat the enemy legally of the United States? Us, the tribes, the ones that had been here since here was made, right? So when you look up the word police, this is who owns the trademark to the word. So everywhere you see police, this brotherhood, the Fraternal Order of Police, is the one that has to be paid to use the name police in America. The Fraternal Order of Police is the National Board of Trustees, has the sole right to authorize, control, license, and restrict the use of the name, insignia, emblem, and trademark. State and subordinate lodges affiliated with the FOP can use the name and related marks to signify their affiliation, but permission for commercial uses or uses that compete with the Great Lodge may be withheld according to the Fraternal Order of the Police.
Wow.
Right now, for those of us that don't know what this is, Fraternal Order of the Police is, this is the Masonic Lodge of police officers. This is the equivalent of being a Scottish Rite, York Rite, Freemason, right? Now, they break it down for us like this. The Fraternal Order of Police owns and controls the use of its name, insignia, and related trademarks. They have the sole right to authorize, license, and restrict the use of their marks. State and subordinate lodges of the Fraternal Order of Police had a right to use the marks to indicate their affiliation, but they must seek permission for commercial or profit-based use. Now, this is important. You see where it say commercial and profit-based use? The commercial use is the enforcement of policies that renders a financial penalty in the form of traffic tickets, parking tickets. Those are all unconstitutional. Or profit-based uses, which also goes to bail bonds. They never give you back how much money you went to jail with, no matter how much it was. They never gonna give you back all of the money you bonded out with, no matter how much it was. You never gonna get the whole thing back. They always gonna hold some for themselves, right? We are familiar with the Department of Homeland Security. This was created under George Herbert Walker Bush in the 90s. It was to consolidate all of the groups of different types of law enforcement under one military operational protocol. The Department of Homeland Security claims common law trademark rights and has registered trademark for certain marks, including those related to police, in the context of law enforcement and related functions, according to their website. Right. So now they have what's called a common law trademark. Right. Now scroll back up. Let's look at the other trademark. They have and controls the use of its name, insignia, and related trademarks. So the Fraternal Order of Police, you see where it say related trademarks, also own the Homeland Police trademarks. They had a sole right to an authority. That means that anybody that want to use it got to go through them, or you can't use it. And they can enforce it at will because they got the police.
Hence the name of the other agencies, FBI, and so many other agencies, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's finish reading the Department of Homeland Security.
All right.
Okay, so it say this means that while the Fraternal Order of Police and Department of Homeland Security may have specific rights related to their own uses and trademarks, the general term police is free for use by other entities to describe law enforcement functions or activities. Now, the problem with that is they don't enforce law.
Go ahead.
The only law in the land that's enforceable is constitutional law. Everything else is administrative law.
Go ahead.
That means non-Article 3 jurisdiction. That means that they all are supposed to be neutralized by the Chevron doctrine. The problem is they don't give a damn what we say. They feel like they have the right to do what they want to do on the land of the tribes, whether the tribes want them there or not. Because they got the might makes right philosophy that supports they claim that they are the ones to serve and protect, but they don't serve and protect us because the carryover of the police and slave patrols, which you're gonna get into later. Scroll to the next part of it.
All right, that's the next part here.
right here, the first slave patrols. This is the origin of the police. And I like that AI video you did too, because it told stuff from AI with these same notes about what we're talking about.
Mhm.
AI even tell you that the police is chartered out of England, but it don't say chartered.
Okay.
It said they under the control of England.
The British Crown. They said, yeah, the British Crown
Yeah.
or something else. Said. Yeah.
And the British Crown is the authority, and home base is London.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Their Interpol is also a subsidiary of London, but it was chartered as part of the United Nations.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time that they have arrest powers is when working with the government of the person they investigating for arrest.
Mm-hmm.
That's different from the police around here because we don't remember, but we have to pay attention to current events because they're telling us what happened in history. So George Washington was switched out, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they switched out the Taliban, they put in a guy named Mohammed Karzai.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the next one. We don't have to read all of it. We just gonna skip through it, and then we're gonna do some Q&A at the end.
All right, so you don't want to read this other side, foreign occupation police?
Yeah, let's read that part. Okay, so what do we mean when we say a police state? That's when a foreign government is exercising jurisdictional control on a land that they've invaded. This gives us what this says, a foreign occupying police force. And then they define it for is a police or law enforcement agency deployed by a foreign military occupying power to maintain order and enforce laws. Sorry, life happens, man. Life happens. You got to take it with a smile and keep on going. Life happens. It said laws in the territory that has been taken over. Now, this is the critical part. It's an occupying power, a foreign military occupying power to maintain order and enforce laws in a territory that has been taken over by the occupying force. That means that what we was thinking the Constitution was ours, it ain't never been ours. The Constitution was between appointed governors of London to come up with an agreement. What was ours was called the Continental Congress, the Constitution of the Continental Congress. You gotta remember, under the Continental Congress, the first president was John Hanson. Right? And then we got two pictures. We got a pale-faced John Hanson, and then we got a brother. Right? So they kept switching out leadership to confuse the children of history in the future by the dumb stuff they was doing in that era. So George Washington, in effect, was not the first president, but he was the first president sitting in the occupancy of the Americas by order of France. Because when you do the research, he was sent by France. He was French. But the real George Washington was from Barbados. Let that sink in.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you talk about the police force, American occupancy has developed the tools and the research around the world by using other military means to determine how to patrol the land. Right here, say the American system of policing was heavily influenced by the English model. That's because that's where it came from. With many U.S. cities establishing their own police departments in the 19th century. Now, that's the 1800s. What was we doing in 1491 for law enforcement? What was we doing? We had no prisons. We didn't know what a prisoner was because we didn't have none. Right? So where was they at? Okay, so we didn't need police because we didn't have crime. Okay, so this brings us to why do we have crime if we didn't have it before 1492? miseducation of the children. The biggest portion of criminal behavior is derived from the suffering and the struggle to escape poverty. We didn't have poverty before 1492 in the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that want to call me a lie can read Columbus's note in his journal. We gave freely because we had plenty. But poverty creates a scarcity mindset. You go into survival mode.
Right.
When you're in survival mode, this is how you generate criminal behavior. Because we know we can go out in the woods with a stick and come back with food for the family. Because we know how to get it from the dirt. It's just that they took us out of the country and stuck us in the concrete jungle called the city. Right? So here you got me, King Kong, swinging off the lamppost, bounding on the concrete, trying to wake everybody up. Sick ape at the North Gate. You better tell them, Elder, we ain't never late. We right on time with the rain.
We knocked better bump straight.
You did? So when we understand that we in a police state, right, it changes our perception of the operations of government to tell us what's really taking place on the land. They brought divide and conquer over here because the side effect of people hating each other is people abusing each other, which creates what? Crime. Think about it. The side effect of divide and conquer, which is making people hate each other for idiosyncrasies and differences, has a side effect of making those people act upon the hate that creates some stuff called crime. Remember, when they was first brought over here, the only crime was leaving the plantation. The problem is we didn't know that the plantation was the family farm. Right? And that the family farm, Big Mama married some old dusty Negro pen. He poisoned her all, and then he brought his pale face managers in to pretend to be massa in them. This the real hatred of the house nigga, not because the book Uncle Tom's Cabin, that wasn't no house nigga. That was a field nigga in the house trying to figure out a strategy. The house nigga was the one that married Big Mama and took Mama name off the house so he could sell the land. Big Mama house turned into the big house. You always knew the Big Mama of the land because she always had what's called pylons or columns in the front of her house. Right? That's because her boys designed it that way so that when travelers come and they say, we're Big Mama house, you can't miss them big ass pillars in the front. Another common trait of Big Mama house was something called a wraparound picket porch. The same philosophy of the picket fence, but it wasn't around the yard, it was around the porch. That's to keep toddlers from crawling out there into the farm with the big kids and with the animals. They can crawl around on the sun porch, right? So the ladies will watch over the babies through the picture glass window. They have us thinking glass is some new shit. We've been using glass, right? So they used to have the big windows in the front of the house to watch the babies from inside the house while they was playing on the porch, the wraparound porch, right? They got us confused about history. The plantation narrative is a false narrative, just like the we all came from Africa narrative is to disassociate us from the land. To make us believe we came from somewhere else so we won't stand up and say, I'm Mississippi clay dirt walking. I'm Louisiana clay dirt walking. Well, I'm Georgia clay dirt walking. Don't forget about me. I'm Tennessee hill rocket dirt walking. Right? So when we start identifying that where we from on the land from the historical record, they know who we are.
Mhm.
They got us all numbered since they was able to corral us in from out in the wood.
Mhm.
Or as they say as a hillbilly say, out in the holler. Come out in the holler, round us up, usher us all into the city.
Mhm.
Remember Martin Luther King said they undergirded the European peasantry with mechanized farms? What
Mhm.
did he mean? Where did the people go that was already on the land? Because people was all over this mother. When you get a map of native tribes, the map show you all of the tribes that was on the land pre-1492, even though most of the names of the tribes, the highest majority is 60, 70% of them are exonyms, names that the settlers couldn't pronounce, that they tried to pronounce, and they came out with a different name, right? So when we see the city slicker country boy dynamic, I'm just a country boy in the city, so I know what goes on in the country.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to tell the country boy what's going on in the city. And these is the strong arm of the crown that is enforcing the so-called peacekeeping duties of the occupying force,
Mhm.
right? We follow great law. If you follow the great law, we don't need 287,000 laws on the books. They have to continuously make new laws because they're not operating under the great law. They operating under the law of commerce through the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code. And the AI tell you that the Uniform Commercial Code, same thing I've been saying, is put in place to make everything look uniform. That's the artificial appearance of legitimacy. Right. Now, when I walk across the land and I see those New Orleans OGs with their Stacey Adams and they sharp crease, they overalls and that white shirt with the sleeves roll up, right? Chewing on that corncob pipe, looking over the top of his glass and say, "You ain't from around these parts, are you, son?" He in uniform to us. That's Uncle Bobby, Uncle Phil, Uncle Joe, Uncle Rod. Right? They used to always laugh at us because the misery gets so thick that we stay drunk to cope with the misery until it starts to eat our bodies up. Right? And this is why all our elders always told you a drunk man speaks a sober man. Just because our uncle is drunk don't mean he don't know what he's talking about. Right? It just means that the pressure of seeing something that you don't know what to do something about is so great that he need a mechanism of escape. So they give you alcohol, right? If you ain't buying enough of their alcohol, what do? They give you prohibition and tell you can't have it until your demand reach a fever pitch. So soon as they say, okay, you can have it and lift the prohibition, which means you prohibited from doing something. When they lift the prohibition, you dive head first with all of your money into the liquor bottle.
Man, that's crazy. Go ahead.
It's psychology and sociology cross-applied. You use it on the masses to manipulate the individual. Just a little David Copperfield parlor trick, right? Okay, now, once we start having drink champs, learning how to control the liquor, right? That's the old Mississippian practice that you see Nori doing. They come straight from the old Mississippians because they were the only ones, if you go back to the Aztec and the Inca period, they was heavy on the alcohol. They tried to make it seem like it didn't come to the settler camp. Right? That's not true. We've been had drink champs. But they was always in the holler, back up in the flats of Mississippi, back in the rolling hills of Kentucky. They was always off in the woods taking care of family business until family business drew them into the concrete jungle.
Mm-hmm.
Because we couldn't live off the fat of the land, they started making us fat while we was living on the land. Let that sink in. In colonial America, policing was more decentralized and often involved constable. Now, that word constable in England, that's what they call police.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then it say sheriffs and night watchmen. Right? The night watchman was the citizen watch. That means that was whatever tribes in that area had some guys can't sleep, walk around at night through the towns and the villages, and somebody comes in straggling from somewhere else, stranded.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In case somebody was having a medical emergency. You know, we invented the ambulance. They try to act like that's part of their system. They got it from us. They got the fire department from us because they was burning down our buildings and we was figuring out ways to combat the flames.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, sheriffs, the thing about a sheriff is it's the only elected law official on the land. The sheriff is elected because he holds a prominent chief position. If the people don't want him there, he's not supposed to be there. Right. So, and then he's following the constitutional order to have officials of government elected. That means the people got to pick the person, but if you're a police, you get appointments. The mayor can appoint you, the city council can appoint you. That's not constitutional. It might be in that state, but it doesn't override the U.S. Constitution. But they try to use an Article 10 supremacy clause to convince you that they can appoint police officers. You can't appoint police unless you're part of the occupying force.
Go ahead.
The only people that can appoint the police is the people who occupy in the land. Who hold the charter for your city? Who hold the charter? If you don't know who own the charter, they gonna tell you it's the people of the charter city, township, county. No. Those charters is held in the capital of the state. And they're not gonna let you see them because the state charter is held in England.
Go ahead.
Right. So now they own all of the governing bodies. Where did they show us this? They showed us this with Dick Cheney, Halliburton in the development post-war of Iraq and Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. For the people that was paying attention back then, they gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. One of the first things they did when they went into Afghanistan and Iraq was build prisons. Mm-hmm. Right now, this is how they have to tell you. Let's look at the Newsweek thing first, Elder. Now, people be like, if we was in the police state, it'd be in the mainstream media. Newsweek is considered mainstream media. This whole article was in these receipts, but we ain't gonna go through it. Matter of fact, it was an article from a different one. I didn't put this article in there, but see if you can zoom in on they can look it up. Police State, America New Way of Life, People, Newsweek magazine, and you can read the article. But they telling you we in the police state without saying directly we in the police state. Mm-hmm. Right? If you look under the plus, right, it say the banning of email and cell phone. Police ain't got the right to ban emails and cell phones, so why would that be there? They letting you know that under martial law, emails and cell phones is considered as enemy communications and can be silenced by the occupying force. That's military protocol, has nothing to do with your law. Right? Look, 575 new laws you better obey. 575 new laws. What regular everyday person is gonna know all 500. The police don't even know all the goddamn laws.
Go ahead.
This is why so many people trying to assert their sovereign right run into conflict with the police, because most of the police do not know the law.
Go ahead.
Matter of fact, about 75% of them don't even know what's in the Constitution. They probably say, I read it. They're okay, well, what's in it? I don't know.
Go ahead.
They don't know. But ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Go ahead.
But the problem is, the worst thing is the way that they was deceived into working for a foreign enemy. And all of them supposed to be registering when they come in under the Trading with the Enemies Act as a foreign agent.
Go ahead.
Right? None of them are elected. Now, proper structure and proper protocol in a state based on who is elected.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say a state got 5 counties, right? Each county would elect a sheriff, right? And then those sheriffs will do tenure before they elect what's called a chief sheriff of the state. They've undermined the power of the sheriff department by installing police force. That's military. The military is only applied under a police state. Now, remember, we still under the Emergency War Powers Act from Abraham Lincoln, right? We still in a state of war. America has never not been in a state of war. And how do they keep the state of war perpetuated? Every 20 years, go back and look at the history book. Every 20 years, they're going to have a war or some military action somewhere else that requires them to sheep dip from the tribes, the baddest motherfuckers on the planet, when it comes to scrapping. Right? And they need us to pad their military, because under the Roman law, because that's what they really operating under, any king under the jurisdiction of Rome, when the emperor of Rome calls, in this case, it would be the Pope, because the emperor seat was fused with the high priest seat and he became known as the Pope.
Right.
Right. So this would be under the order of the Pope, that when the military need the fighting forces of your soldiers, you have to provide ample support for the emperor. All right. That's important, because we never made an alliance with them, but they lure us in to the military with benefits. They lure us into the military of our sworn enemy. Now, remember, we didn't declare war on them. That's why most of us don't know we at war. They declared war on us and tried to keep it a secret. But they wrote about it. Right? So when they declared war on us, we became the black pieces on the chessboard. You got to remember that. And that's why they call us black civilly mortis, because in order for them to enforce the Admiralty jurisdiction, they had to say that we capsized. But we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Ask Malcolm. Plymouth Rock landed on us. The good ship Plymouth is the Mayflower. What month is we in, Elder?
We in May.
And the Mayflower is the flower of the mother.
Go ahead.
Which is the rightful heir. But in Michigan, they just call cherries. So George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. Mythology. But it's laced with tribal code. The cherry tree bears the fruit of the future in the form of the seed.
Go ahead.
Right? So the original matriarch was undermined. That was what they call trunk of the tree, which is the elephant trunk. which was her ability to call us by ringing the Liberty Bell.
Mm-hmm.
So they cracked it on purpose and put a screw in it and said, y'all fucked. We just screwed you out of your liberties. And you don't even know it, because the sacerdotal seat of the tribes of the land was Philadelphia. But before that, it was New Orleans.
Go there, crackheads, Rob.
Right? The reason it was New Orleans is because all immigrants that wanted to settle was welcome to come as long as they came in through the Port of Nola. Because you have to go to the Big Easy to get trained on how to function with the tribes of the land. And the tribe that most meet your personality and characteristics and character traits is where Big Mama and them gonna send you.
Go ahead.
They not gonna send you somewhere where you're gonna be in a conflict. They want to send you with like-minded people that have similar ideologies and belief systems as you, so that y'all could get along.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't force people that didn't belong on somebody else's property. Because the local Big Mama can say, oh, no, I don't want them motherfuckers here. And guess what? They got to find another tribe that's suitable for their character and their personality type and their belief system. This was the law of the land. This ain't got nothing to do with a constitutional mandated occupying law. All they laws is commercial. That means they are a financial enterprise used to extract wealth from the people of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is an article from The Guardian. This is the article. We're not going to read the whole article, but we're going to read the headline. If y'all want to read this stuff, I already posted it on my Instagram and Facebook and shared it already. So all these receipts that we not going on, they all posted because they're in the public domain. And notice the agent is notice the principal. So right here, the question that was asked to the newspaper was if American police act like occupying armies, and then they study their tactics. Excuse me.
Hey, you good? Go ahead. Hey, y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe button right now, y'all. If you're in the channel, man, if you're new to the channel, you know what I'm saying? We cracking heads and twisted caps. We cutting it, and we slicing the dragon throat. He's bleeding profusely at this point.
Okay, now on the cover it said the founders of modern policing quelled foreign uprisings. Notice that it say foreign uprisings. We might want to go through here because there's a couple. Wait a minute, it's a couple things I want to look at. Let's finish reading that part first. Demilitarizing police will be harder.
There you go.
Taking away their tanks, right? Be harder than taking away their tanks. So what they saying is that the police as a military would be harder to remove as a military functioning organization. It would be harder than taking their tanks away from them, right? Now, there's a couple things we're going to scroll through kind of quick. Okay, I'm gonna read this one right here. It say for the past week. So this article I think was around the time of the George Floyd situation, if I'm not mistaken. But it said for the past week, our social media and television screens have been dominated by images of police officers in head-to-toe body armor, wielding batons, pepper ball guns, riot shields, and tear gas against mostly peaceful protesters. Remember that. Many Americans are now more certain than ever that we need to demilitarize the police. That means that it's a whole lot of people looking at this occupying army on the land saying, that's not police, that's a foreign military. And now they questioning it. And they decided to write this article because of the people questioning the military style policing that's on the land. Right? Mm-hmm. Let's go, Elder. In fact, we've gotten slightly closer. The aggressive response, and in many cases, over response of American law enforcement agencies has invigorated a bipartisan push in Congress to ban transfer of military materials to the police. Yet the 20th century history of U.S. policing shows that truly demilitarizing the police will be more difficult than simply removing the body armor. Our law enforcement agencies learn many and of the most routine aspects of contemporary policing from U.S. imperial excursions abroad for the purposes of stamping out rebellion. Stop. If they was a foreign force and they was tasked with stamping out a rebellion, we would have some kind of documentation to prove this. Do you know what them documents would be called, Elder?
Nah, off the top of my head.
One of them will be called the COINTELPRO mission statement.
Okay, all right.
The second one would be called Readiness Exercise 1984. But they specifically point us out in those documents as the target to stamp out rebellion, because they don't want us to be, we not Martin Luther King. I don't know what they thinking now, because we the wrong generation to sick dogs on, and we out there in numbers like that. These youngsters is not buying it.
Mm-mm.
And you don't got enough police. It's more of us than it is of you. Right? A wise cop right now will go to the sheriff and say, look, I want to quit the police force, but I want to be deputized to be a deputy if you want to stay in law enforcement. Because once this notice goes out, notice to agent, notice to principal, they all liable. Because according to the way that the law is interpreted, it's saying because it was in the public domain, notice to agent being notice to principal, all principal and agents should be equally notified upon the public notice. So we putting them on notice now. So look what it say. Created in the 1990s, the so-called 1033 program allows police departments to obtain surplus materials from the vast stocks of the world's largest military. Not all of the material is what most would consider war-fighting hardware. Some of the inventory consists of exercise gear and even musical instruments. But the renewed clamor to demilitarize the police is usually directed at the helmets and body armor, rifles, armored vehicles that have been on abundant display since Minneapolis police killed George Floyd last week. Look, demilitarizing police is absolutely necessary, but it will require more than just ending one surplus equipment program. To be sure, police departments.
Hold on. Man, why did they do that? Hold on, go back. All right, here we go.
To be sure, police departments are more heavily armed than ever, in part because post 9/11 fears of terrorism. First one want freedom, then they all want freedom. Tell them, Gil. But the transfer of military surplus gear long predates the war on terror. It results from both demand on the part of police and oversupply in the military, particularly as wars wind down. Remember I was telling you why we were seeing all that UN stuff? Because America was the ones who owned it. Same thing.
Yeah.
Now, all they got to do now is paint them and put Chicago PD on them, LAPD on them, and then they just pass it out to the police stations.
They already did.
Yeah. Where do you think they were taking them?
Yeah.
They wasn't taking them to the UN. They were taking them from the UN. Surplus.
Right.
Let's go to the next one.
Right.
It say every overseas war has reshaped policing in the United States. Remember I told you they go overseas and then they do experiments because our laws don't apply overseas. So they try to find out how far they could bend the law before they kill a nigga. by using it in what's called a war zone. But they still got Geneva Convention protocols they're supposed to follow, but America the only country that can select not to follow the Geneva Convention rules of war. Right? Included by filling the ranks of police departments with veterans and pushing surplus materials into their hands. But many campaigns abroad have also entailed policing civilian populations, with U.S. experts advising other governments while also learning lessons to repatriate in the process, right? So now they're not just taking soldiers from the military. You gotta remember, it came out a couple years back, almost 10 years ago, that police forces was hiring borderline sociopaths and serial killers to be police officers because they had less remorse than a regular person. And say when the U.S. started to occupy the Philippines at the end of the 19th century, its military forces were met by anti-colonial guerrilla campaign. Let that sink in. Anti-colonial guerrilla campaign. Anti-colonizers that a guerrilla army was trying to fend off. Right? The purpose of a guerrilla army, for those who don't know, is for a stronger military that's occupying the territory. You need a different strategy to fight them when they have you outgunned. These strategies is commonly referred to as guerrilla tactics or guerrilla strategy. If you go back to Big Stretch and Tupac in that elementary school, and the girl asked Tupac, what you think we gonna need in order to get free? And he said, we gonna need some guerrilla tactics, right? So this is what we're talking about. He said in response, Army soldiers engaged in grueling search missions, hoping to ferret out insurgents. This is the same thing they was doing with COINTELPRO. Remember, Fred Hampton was in his bed asleep when they murdered him and Mark Clark.
Right.
They was sleep in the middle of the night, and they call that ferreting out insurgents. They was doing the same thing to what they call Iraqi High Command. It was the same thing. Who were difficult to distinguish from innocent bystanders, right? The Army also established a constabulary or native Filipinos to help pacify the U.S. colony, right? That means they took people from the Philippines to pad they police force with, so that the U.S. colony can get some relief from the guerrilla strikes. That's what they did with us. We got gangbangers in the police force, so they think they more police than the police. Though nobody used the term at the time, this was counterinsurgency, right? To stop the rise of any potential messiah who could incite the masses.
That codes.
Many of this campaign's veterans rose to prominence as police administrators in the U.S. in the early 20th century, as documented by sociologist Julian Go. Right, so apparently Julian Go have extensive writing on the police administrators that came from the Philippines to America. Now the question is what made her interested in writing about them son bitches? But anyway, these ex-soldiers applied the lessons of the Philippines search and destroy missions to the U.S. Mobile patrols, horses, bicycles, and motorized vehicles. Few communications in unfamiliar terrain informed how police built their telecommunications networks, and the type of rigorous training, including the marksmanship that defined soldiering, would be adopted by police too. The era's most famous police leader, August Vollmer, got his start in the infantry in the Philippines and constantly referred to that experience as he reshaped the profession. Right. Now look at that last name.
German. Vollmer. It's that sound German, right? August.
Yeah, I know it's European.
Yeah, August Moore. It's a whole bunch of stuff that it's August Val Moore, Moors could be connected. Yeah, the Filipinos who was they sending over here? They couldn't have been sending no Philip dudes that were like light skinned Filipinos. They had to be dark skinned Filipinos. You know what I'm saying? You know.
Why wouldn't it be? They use niggas in the police force.
That's what I'm saying.
This one we just got done with, Elder.
Oh yeah. Okay. This one right here. Let me go get it right there.
Later, after the Second World War, the American forces occupied Germany and Japan for several years. Now remember, they didn't stop occupying Germany because they patrolled the wall until 92. While regular police at home received notice from the FBI that they could now obtain surplus machine guns and leg irons from the War Assets Administration, U.S. police trendsetters like Vollmer, his protege Orlando W. Wilson, and future Los Angeles Police Chief William Parker were working to democratize the German police while also making sure to keep tabs on communists. Now you see where they put democratize in quotes. Mm-hmm. That means that they ain't really doing that. They were saying that, so they wouldn't be police, then they would be sheriffs.
Yeah, it's like this part,
yep.
Right?
Yeah. So they're not really doing that, because if they did, they couldn't call them police. They have to call them sheriff or sharif.
Yeah.
Which is Arabic, wasn't what we called them, but that was the name that the position was given by the settlers.
Okay.
That spoke Arabic and Spanish and Latin and Greek and English, right? And they use that to create legalese in the term of Democrat or democracy, which is actually a demon government, but that's a whole nother story. We don't get it too far into that. Right. So it's a go on to say, while also making sure to keep tabs on communists. Similarly, in Japan, a young policeman from Kansas City named Byron Engel, remember Engels and the communist writers, Marx and Engels.
Okay.
Engel helped to reorganize the police there, introducing U.S.-style uniforms, handcuffs, and tear gas. Now, you notice it say U.S.-style uniforms.
Go ahead.
But they don't come from the U.S. The style of uniform that we use come from England.
Yeah.
The only thing come from U.S. is the sidearm belts that came from the cowboys and them niggas in the South.
Go ahead.
We wore our guns on our hip. But we didn't have to use them against each other too often, because normally we was carrying firearm on our hip, and we had a shotgun too. Right? That's because we used to encounter animals that we needed to take care of because they became hostile to the people, especially when the settlers came.
Yeah.
We used to be able to talk to the animals. Now the animals don't want to hear shit we got to say.
Yeah. They start killing.
I know, because they told me. Right. So let's go to the next page.
All right.
Byron Engel went on to distribute Wilson's ideas globally, including during his stint with the CIA. Ain't that something? For him, policing and counterinsurgency was synonymous. Engel directed the U.S. Office of Public Safety, which operated in 52 countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, where it delivered guns, vehicles, tear gas, radio, fingerprinting, and technology. Stop. Go back. It said Engel directed the U.S. Office of Public Safety. He didn't say no other office, but watch this, which operated in 52 countries in Africa. It was only one African country they didn't occupy.
Damn.
Asia and Latin America, where it delivered guns, vehicles, tear gas, radios, and fingerprinting technology. It also trained officers from 77 countries in its Washington, D.C. Academy. Ingalls' creed was simple: use cops to prevent communist revolution. Now let's look at that word communist. Do you know what the root word of that is?
Con.
Commune.
Oh, okay, commune. Yeah,
You know what commune is?
it's like to like for the people to mingle. Like we used to, they have it at. They used to say that at church when we.
Right.
It's like you
So
go around and you meet and greet. It's like a
you
meet
know
and
what
greet.
you know what they call a compound now?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the original name for it, a commune.
Okay,
The
all
word
right.
commune is where you get your word community,
Okay, all right, go ahead.
right? And a communist, in truth, is a person who believes in communal living. That's the people that live on the land, that's from the land, that is sustained by the land.
Go
That's
ahead.
communal living. Anybody who believes in communal living is a communist. Right? Now, well, Rod, if that's the case, what kind of government is the Russians? Socialist. They believe in a government of society of people who everybody work on behalf of the government. Right? The government is bigger than the people in the socialist construct. In the communist construct or the commune or the community, ain't no big I's and no little U's. That little baby question got the same right to be asked in Big Mama house as that old lady question or that old man question. Everybody questions are valid because we believe only by asking questions will you find the answer. They told us to stop asking so many damn questions and shut your ass up and listen. Right? Where did that come from? It came from people talking over our heads. Mm-hmm. And we were so busy because we used to multitask conversation. Mm-hmm. While I'm talking to Elder about police, I also talked to Sister Sarah about what the baby need. And they said that we wasn't focused enough to see or hear what the enemy was telling us. When we didn't hear it, they was lying. So we had to pay extra close attention because they was lying. Now watch this. In some cases, the police would commit torture. Let that one sink in for a minute. You know how many people that I've been locked up with that told me the police beat a confession out of them and they brought it up in court and you say, even though they beat it out of there, you were still a confession?
Dang.
Right? Look at this. Forced disappearances. Whatever happened to him? I don't know, man. One day that nigga just dipped. We ain't never heard from him again. And don't forget massacres like Rosewood, like Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, like the Chicago fire, right? The largest U.S. police assistance mission coincided with the war in Vietnam, which was also the dismantling or the attempted dismantling of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Because at the same time the Black Panthers was protesting, you got to remember, all of the middle class and upper class college students was protesting the war because they knew that the war was founded up on a $1 bet. Mm-hmm. And that's made fun of in the first Trading Places with Eddie Murphy.
Right.
Right. Now, when Ingalls' operation closed down, many of his subordinates came home to become police chiefs, prison wardens, Washington law enforcement bureaucrats, private security contractors, or criminal professors. One later remarked that his experience in Vietnam remained front and center in his mind while a chief because it was far more fascinating than any work of fiction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is going over Iraq and Afghanistan and U.S. occupancy. It's saying both Iraq and Afghanistan, the United States employed a combination of military force, counterinsurgency tactics, and transitional governance. What is transitional governance? It's when they force regime change. This is what happened over here. They usurped the Iroquois Confederate Constitution. They usurped the Articles of Confederation. They usurped the Cherokee Constitution and all of the tribal agreements that the local tribes had amongst themselves ever since they've been here. They was all overturned by your constitutional government of a foreign agency masquerading as our government, right? And they said they did this to police the occupied territories. Whoa, they telling you exactly what they did to us. However, the specific approaches and challenges vary significantly in each country. Wow. Let's see how they handled each country. Initial military operations in Afghanistan, the U.S. military with British support, and remember, DC was owned by the Crown of England, launched Operation Enduring Freedom to target Al-Qaeda and Taliban forces. The Operation Enduring Freedom is the same as COINTELPRO applied to to Afghanistan. You gotta remember that. Okay, now this is the part right here. Partnering with Afghan forces, the U.S. relied on the Northern Alliance and other anti-Taliban groups to aid in overthrowing the Taliban regime. This is what happened with the non-treaty tribes and the treaty tribes. That's the same thing. Mm-hmm. They just saying something different because it's overseas. But where they put Northern Alliance, you could put treaty tribes. And then you can see that the U.S. relied on treaty tribes and other anti-outlaw tribes to aid in overthrowing the wait a minute. The U.S. relied on the treaty tribes and other anti-non-treaty groups to aid in overthrowing the treaty regimes, the tribal regime. It's the same thing they did. Special forces and airstrikes. Now remember, when they bombed John Africa and his family in Philadelphia, they used helicopters. You gotta remember that. All this stuff has not changed. They never stopped doing this to us over here, but we ain't supposed to know we at war because they've been keeping it a secret from us. Special forces units worked with the CIA and Afghan allies to disrupt Taliban operations while airstrikes targeted Taliban and Al-Qaeda facilities. It's the same thing they did to that man's family. It's the same thing they did in Rosewood. It's the same thing with Mississippi burning. All of it is the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just under a different era with a different set of technology being used.
Hey, the same thing happened in Oklahoma, Tulsa. Hey, Can I say something right here, Rod? Because I got a question. Okay, so the Taliban regime say so they took they used the media to make them look like they were terrorists, but they really are gangbangers or criminals, just like they did the Peace Stones, the Black Panthers, all the black organizations.
It's the same smear campaign. Smear campaign, Elder. You absolutely on point.
Right. And so the anti-Taliban would be those who join on with the colonizers. Hey, I'll say one more thing, then I'll let you get it back. So I was watching this movie today called The Tears of the Sun. It's like a Navy SEAL movie, right? And I watched that movie 100 times, but not to the day did I come to the realization that them Africans that were chopping them dudes' head off, that they really was the rightful people, right? Because I used to think, man, that's bad how they chopping them French colonizers' head, but I didn't think they were colonizers at first. I just thought they were some good Christians coming over there to help Africans in distress, right? But they really were colonizers. They really were colonizers, and them Africans that was after them U.S. soldiers, they really was the real people fighting for their land back. But they make it. But if you watch the movie, they painted as if them guys were bad guys, and the Navy SEALs and all them were good guys. You know what I'm saying? It's like that type of thing. The colonizers always paint themselves, like you said on that last tape, the victor always write the history or write the perspective. You know what I'm saying? Go
yeah,
ahead,
they give you the narrative that they want you to follow. And when you do what we doing, we breaking their narrative. And this is the most obscene things in their mind that we could be doing, is telling the people exactly what they doing openly and freely. We not charging nobody for nothing. We ain't trying to form no cults. None of that. We just talking on open air, put it in the public domain and letting the tribe members pick for themselves what's really going on the land and why have we been being treated like we've been being treated. We've been treated like we've been being treated because we've been at war. We have been in a perpetual state of war since the arrival of Columbus. Mm-hmm. All right, now watch this. Transition to Afghan government. Now remember, the Taliban was like the Democrats, and the Northern Alliance was like the Republicans, but the Democrats or the Taliban had control when America went in there. As the Taliban regime fell, the U.S. helped establish a transitional government and work towards elections. You see that? Mm-hmm. We didn't need no elections over here because everybody knew who the chiefs was, and anybody had problems, they send their chief to talk to your chief. Mm-hmm. And if we can't come up with an agreement, we're going to have to run that fade. That's it. Ain't nothing to talk about.
Right. Or we can sit down and roll and pull out the pipe now, the peace pipe.
Yeah. Now remember, counterinsurgency tactics is COINTELPRO. Mm-hmm. So it say the U.S. implemented counterinsurgency tactics such as reinforcing local communities, being hiring snitches, and paying informants to counter the Taliban resurgence or re-emergence in some areas. So they didn't want their stronghold to be strong no more. So wherever they were strongest at, they paid people to rat them out. That's what they're talking about. Dang. The withdrawal, right? The U.S. began withdrawing troops in 2011, eventually completing the withdrawal in 2021. That's when Joe Biden just said, okay, everybody leave. And they left billions of dollars in military equipment over there for the so-called enemy. Mm-hmm. In Iraq, they did a little different. This is what they did with the Continental Congress and the Congress. The U.S.-led coalition invaded Iraq in 2003 to remove Saddam Hussein and his Ba'ath Party. Right? Coalition Provisional Authority was the interim government they installed. The CPA was established as a transitional government, but its management was criticized for contributing to the instability that followed. That means that the people didn't want them people over there in their business, and now they getting flack for it. Insurgency and civil war. The fall of Saddam Hussein created a power vacuum, leading to a sectarian civil war and a lengthy insurgency. Right? That means there was a whole lot of different groups of people, different tribes, because remember, they still practice tribalism over there or communalism. Mm-hmm. Right? So when they was having insurgencies, their chief was saying, fuck that. They not finna be comfortable over here. We gonna make them as uncomfortable as possible if they gonna be here. Right? Now, watch this. Troop surge. The U.S. deployed additional troops in 2007. So now they've been over there 5 years in them people's house trying to tell them how to handle their affairs, which helped stabilize some parts of the country. How did they stabilize? They murdered people. They murdered leadership. The same thing they did to us, they murdered people. U.S. began withdrawing troops in 2008, completed withdrawal in 2011. They still over there. They're telling us they've been withdrawn since 2011, but they still have operational military bases in both Afghanistan and in Iraq, right? And then what does the other one say? Continuing violence. Even after U.S. withdrawal, violence continued due to the ongoing insurgency. They don't want the foreigners colonizing their land. That's what that's about. Let's go to the next one. Okay, now, this is important to understand because this is the same way George Washington was seated as the president. The United States played a significant role in facilitating the political rise of Hamid Karzai. In the aftermath of the Taliban's overthrow in 2001, the U.S.-led forces and international community convened the Bonn Agreement, which established an interim Afghan government. Now, this same agreement for us is a secret agreement. It's one of the secret treaties. They got, I think, 71 secret treaties. And in one of them, it's the French, the English, the Portuguese, the Spanish, and I think the Italians was all making the agreement to change our government to a more friendly government that would work on behalf of the Crown of England. That's what happened. But they give us this glory story of American Revolution and the founding fathers and all that bullshit. That's not what happened. This agreement paved the way for Karzai to be appointed chairman of the governing committee, which is the president, and later interim president of the Afghan Transitional Administration. All presidents of the United States, from George Washington until Barack Obama, was a transitional administrator for a interim government. His leadership was further solidified by Loya Jirga, a traditional Afghan council, which then appointed him to the presidency. That's the same way that they say they appointed George Washington at the at that whatever that convention was. Here's a more detailed look at the U.S. influence. First, they had to overthrow the Taliban, which is overthrow the tribes. The U.S.-led invasion and subsequent overthrow of the Taliban created a power vacuum that allowed Karzai to emerge as a key figure in the transitional government. You got to remember, George Washington was a French general and the general of the military established by the colonies. Mm-hmm. That's not an accident. The Bonn Agreement. The agreement, brokered with the help of the United States and other international actors, formally established a framework for a new Afghan government with Karzai as a leading figure, right? Now, we got international support. International support. The United States and other countries provided significant financial, political, and military support to Karzai's government, which further legitimized his leadership and helped him consolidate power. That's what the police do for the president, for George Washington, help solidify the power to make them look legitimate. The Loya Jirga traditional gathering of Afghan leaders played a crucial role in legitimizing Karzai's presidency, ensuring that he represented a broad coalition of Afghan political factions. Now, the reason why this is so important is because when you see them doing it somewhere else, you can see that it was done to us, right? So what is a police state? A police state is a type of government that exercises extreme control over civil society and individual liberties, often through the use of police and other security forces. It tells you right there. Mm-hmm. It's characterized, this is the nature of it. This is how you can recognize it, by a strong reliance on law enforcement, a blurring of the lines between the law and political power, and a suppression of dissent and freedom of expression. It's always a negotiation going on in DC about suspending your rights to free speech, suspending your right to be free from illegal search and seizure. They always negotiating your right to bear arms. Those are non-negotiable rights. Rights are not up for negotiation, only privileges. Y'all got to remember that. Key characteristics of the police state: high-level government control. High-level government control. The government exerts significant control over various aspects of life, including social, meaning that you got to be 21 to drink. Political, which means that you're either going to be Democrat or Republican, because if you're independent or if you're from one of those other political parties like the Black Panther Party for self-defense, you're the enemy, we fucking you up. And economic activities, economic hitmen, the Federal Reserve System, the artificial floating of currency, fiat, as if it's actual backed by a substance, right? Watch this. Repressive measures. Citizens may experience restrictions on their freedom of movement, traffic tickets, expression, don't say that on stage, and assembly. It's too many of y'all in here. Nigga, get out of here. Some of y'all got to go, right? All of these restrictions we can see them enforced over here. All of this stuff that's explaining what a police state is, we can see it in our day-to-day life. Use of police and secret police. That's your detectives. Secret police is your detectives, your informants, your snitches, your undercovers, your legal attaches, all of the assets that the police have at their disposal in order to prosecute you, but you don't have them at your disposal. Blurring the law and political power. The government may use the law as a tool for political control and suppression.
Wow.
All this stuff is going on right now. And this is why we're going over this, because when the National Guard come into the cities, the police have to go. And Trump done already announced that he's sending the National Guard into the cities, just like I've been telling y'all. He just announced it a couple of days ago. Right? Now, the suppression of dissent, political opposition, critical voices, and independent media are often silenced. What's the white dude name? Farrakhan was on this show. You know what I'm talking about?
He had. I think I know.
He's always talking like this. Oh man, I can't think of his name right now. Somebody gonna put it in the comments. Let me look in the comments.
I can't think of who you're talking about.
The one that got sued for saying that Sandy Hook was a false flag.
Oh yeah. Is it Alex Jones? That's his name? No.
Alex Jones. Look,
yeah.
He is living proof of the part where it said, scroll up a little bit, Elder. Let me see the one before that.
Okay. Is it up here?
I think you went to a different page.
Oh, we just read this one, so we on this one.
Yeah, suppression of dissent, political opposition, critical voices, and independent media. Right now, remember the Black Panthers used to have their own newspaper. So they got infiltrated. Now where they paper at? It ain't that they stopped being capable of writing and they stopped being intelligent enough to report. It's just that the breakup of the paper was just as important as the breakup of the Panthers. Political opposition, Black Panther Party for self-defense. Right? Remember, it was a whole lot of different political parties in George Washington Day. You had the Whig Party. You had one called the Knickerbocker Party. You know, you had the Democrats and Republican was the Democratic Republic Party back then. Right. So militarization of law enforcement, another key signature of when you occupy territory. Police forces may be equipped with military grade weapons and tactics. We just got done going over the article where it told us that they was using military weapons given to them by the military. So then it's a no-brainer at that point. And then it told them that they was training in all of the war zones to come back and use the tactics over here.
Dang.
Arbitrary exercise of power. Power is exercised without regard for established legal procedures or due process. This is your administrative law judges, them judges that hear you on your tickets, right? The judges that hear you on your tickets is an administrative law judge. They just gave a Supreme Court ruling on administrative law judges. Why they still there? Examples of police states, right? We gonna read this part, but we ain't gonna go through the different countries. It say, while the term police state can be used in a general way to describe any government with an overbearing police presence, it's often associated with authoritarian or totalitarian regime. And then they give us some historical examples. We're not gonna go over them. We go to the next page, Elder.
Says the Mussolini fascist regime also relied on a strong police force and secret police to suppress opposition and maintain order.
Yeah, that's still going over the different countries that was under a police state. Right. This is important right here. You see this part right here with the flyer that you're going looking at now?
Maybe on hit the mother right.
You see where it say, you are not the descendants of slaves. You are descendants of free people made into prisoners of war within our own homeland. Never accept your oppressors' marginalized narratives of you. They designed to seep into your subconscious.
Dang.
Let me see what this other one is.
I blew it up real quick.
That was President George Bush suspending the power of the great writ, the writ of habeas corpus that eventually got turned over by the Supreme Court. But a lot of people lost a chance to file a habeas corpus behind this. And they stuck in prison because the court's not, even though they overturned the suspension of the writ, because the ruling that was given on their case was during the suspension, they don't have to revisit the case unless they have what's called a compelling argument of new evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's what that's about. The Military Commissions Act, right? Because the great writ is part of getting out of jail when you're not in there on legitimate cause. And with the thing about the writ, if you are convicted in state court, when you file your federal writ of habeas corpus, it's a civil action. It's not criminal. That's how you know that the state courts are only administrative and that the administrative law judges are non-Article 3 certified. Therefore, they're not obligated to support your Constitution. They're obligated to support the integrity of the bar. Right. Because that's to a point, that's who's putting them up there, the bar associations. Go to the next page, Elder.
I wonder if that's what happened to Doc when Doc tried to file this, get him shot down, the 2006 lick for the federal habeas corpus.
Okay, now, in the United States, the authority for establishing and regulating police forces primarily derived from the 10th Amendment to the Constitution. Remember, I told you they try to use this to argue for the police, but right. This is for sheriff. Your law official, just like the president is commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the highest ranked sheriff in the state is the commander-in-chief of the state sheriff's department. Mm-hmm. But they're not operating in a full jurisdictional capacity because they got state troopers that's acting on the behalf of the state sheriff. They usurping the authority and jurisdictional powers of the sheriff. Most sheriffs don't know this. Mm-hmm. Right? And the sheriff supposed to be arresting the police for impersonating law enforcement. Mm-hmm. They not law enforcement, they policy enforcers. They can only enforce codes and policies and acts. They can't enforce law. Not one of them is licensed to enforce law. Any police that comes on the stand has no license to practice to enforce law, right? But they tell us we don't need a license, right? This amendment reserves powers not delegated to the federal government, to the state or the people. Always, if it's a power to be exerted, it's the people's choice first. The only time that a state body can appoint somebody to a elected position is if the people decline to vote and the position need to be filled. Then the legislators will convene a legislative meeting, what they call a congressional hearing, state Congress, and they will come up, or state Senate, they will come up with a vote to say, well, we're going to put an interim there until the people are prepared to vote. The sheriff is the only elected law official in our states. The rest of them are acting under the color of law, right? This going over all of the justifications, but all of these justifications they're giving us for police is actually in reference to sheriff's department, not police officers, right?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Rod, you ever notice? I noticed when the feds come, they always bring the sheriff to be there to when they arrest you, and they gotta notify that if they go and do a raid, the feds come on the raid in a city, they gotta call the sheriff and the head sheriff and notify them that they finna do a raid in that city. But a lot of times when
right, okay, so
go ahead.
And the reason that is, Elder, is they got something called separation of powers.
Okay.
Right. And the military can't come in without alerting the local law enforcement, which is the sheriff. Yeah. The FBI don't have to alert the chief of police, but he got to alert the sheriff.
Yeah.
In most states, including Michigan, the sheriff's office is established by the state's constitution. Specifically, the office of sheriff is created by the Michigan Constitution. The Michigan Constitution outlines the sheriff's role as the chief law enforcement officer in the county, elected directly by the people.
Right. Police are not elected.
Right. Right. Okay. Constitutional creation. Now, notice that they put into the state's constitution. Police not. The sheriff's office is a constitutional position, meaning its existence and powers are defined by the state's constitutions, not by a legislative act. That means that they can't keep telling them different stuff to do by legislating it. Mm-hmm. If it's not supported in the Constitution, they can't compel the sheriff to do it, but they can tell the police to do it. Mm-hmm. That's what you got to be aware of. In Michigan, I think it's the next page, Elder.
Hold on. Yeah, pause it up. Oh, there you go, right there. I did. All right, there we go.
Okay, Chief Law Enforcement Officer, Sheriff's Primary Law Enforcement, Michigan Constitution. Okay, Law Enforcement Officer in the county with jurisdiction over the county's unincorporated areas and certain other areas depending on local ordinances. Constitutional duties. Scroll up a little bit out. The Michigan Constitution also outlines specific duties and responsibilities for the sheriff, including maintaining order, enforcing the law, and serving as the court's officers for the execution of judgments. Right? Mm-hmm. You ain't never seen the local police serve an eviction, have you?
That's what I was just gonna say, bro. Go ahead. It's always the
sheriff. Because the local police don't have to enforce court order. Right, but the sheriff do because it's part of his constitutional description, execution of judgments. Go on the next page, Elder.
Also, I noticed that the police, they really can't arrest you without a warrant, technically. Unless they got
they're not supposed to.
Yeah, they're not supposed to arrest you without a warrant or a grand jury. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've been
So the
watching
main legal difference between sheriffs and police lies in their jurisdiction and duties. Police departments typically operate within city limits, while sheriffs have jurisdiction over an entire county, including unincorporated areas and municipalities without their own police forces.
Mhm.
So the sheriff is over the county. Their duties is a broad range of responsibilities, including law enforcement in incorporated areas, operating county jails, serving warrants and civil papers, and providing courtroom security. The leadership is elected by the county's residents, right? And that's to keep pace with the Constitution, by the way. Even though that's Constitution is still a foreign instrument of authority on the land. That's not by us. I don't see Chief Little River name in near one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution.
Go ahead.
I don't see Chief Bearcat, Chief Flying Eagle, Chief Swiftbird. I don't see none of them on the documents, just so y'all know. Right?
Yeah.
And funding county government budgets. All right, now, police, jurisdiction, municipal boundaries, cities, towns, and villages. Duties primarily focus on city-level law enforcement, including responding to 911 calls, investigating crimes within their jurisdiction, and traffic control. Traffic is, that's retarded shit. Chief of police appointed by the city mayor or city council. See that? How he's put in there by appointment. That means he's administered city of municipal budgets is where they get paid out of. Key distinctions.
They make money off of tickets.
Yep. Jurisdiction. The primary difference, sheriffs have a broader geographic authority within their county. Scope of duties. Sheriffs often handle jail operations and courtroom security, while police focus on street level law enforcement. That's the occupancy. Remember, they patrol the land looking for insurgencies. Right? Elected versus appointed. Sheriffs are elected while police chiefs are appointed.
Go ahead. But they don't have no delegation of authority. All right, that's your last slide right there, bro. I think the rest of these slides are slides I just added on. Yeah, the Sanctum.
This Sanctum Papal Bull issued by Pope Boniface VIII in 1302 is important because it asserted the supremacy of the papal authority over all Christians, declaring that submission to the Roman pontiff is essential for salvation. This bold declaration, made during a conflict with the French King Philip IV, positioned the church as the ultimate spiritual and temporal, which means earthly, authority, influencing subsequent political and theological debates.
Yeah, so
here's why it's significant.
Go ahead.
Assertion of the papal supremacy. Unum Sanctum explicitly stated that every human creature must be subject to the Roman pontiff for salvation, solidifying the Pope's position as the supreme spiritual authority. And remember, the spiritual law is universal law, right? But they are governing us by admiralty, which is under contract law.
Right.
Just let that sink in. But if through these papal bulls, I didn't even intend to send you this one out. I didn't even know I sent it.
No, I added all these. I added a couple slides that I was but like, yeah, I'm glad you going over it though. Go ahead. Break it down.
Yeah, so this was one of three where the Pope was calling the earth people imbeciles, and that he the only one know that was good for us. Right? That's just one of the sanctions from it was three different popes. I got them all wrote down in my notes somewhere. Chattel property refers to tangible, movable, personal property distinct from real estate, land, and buildings. Examples of chattel include vehicles, furniture, jewelry, and other personal belongings. In contrast, chattel real refers to interest in land, such as leases, which is considered personal property but relate to real estate.
Yeah, see, like, so they labeled us as Christian property under the Black Christian
Mm-hmm.
Code and all that. And so that's why they got rules in that codes that say that the Nubians or us can't gather. That's why they always, when you see 3 or 4 of us gathered, that's against Christian codes for 3, 4 Nubians to be gathered, though, because they plotting something. Like they consider it as insurgents, or they could be plotting war against us. So they attack us because they labeled us as Christian property. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is under the Pope, under the Sanctum Sanctorum. Right? This right here might connect with what you was talking about too, though.
Okay, yeah. Now, this is what the police is acting under the color of law. The term color of law refers to actions taken by government officials, especially law enforcement. Notice it say especially, while they are perceived to be exercising their official duties. It is a legal concept used to establish liability when officials abuse their power under the guise of state authority. The phrase is also used to describe a book by Richard Rothstein, The Color of Law, A Forgotten History of How Our Government Segregated America, which examines how government policies intentionally segregated communities. Remember, I said it was divide and conquer in order to create crime. The legal definition, the color of law, signifies when a government official's actions, even if not strictly within their lawful authority, are considered to be acts of the state. This means the state is liable for those actions. Example, that's cut off. So.
There you go. This right here. Okay.
Examples. This can include actions like authorized searches, unauthorized searches when they search your car, excessive force when they bust you upside the head with your baton, put you in a chokehold, shoot you in the back, or other abuses of power by police officers or other government officials, right? The Civil Rights Act of 1871. Now look at when that was, 1871. We 100 and some years from that, 100 and almost 60 years from that. The concept of color of law originated in the Civil Rights Act of 1871 and has been used to address the abuse of power by state actors. The book Color of Law by Richard Rothstein details how federal housing policies in the 1940s and 50s were used to create and maintain segregation in the United States. The book argues that the government policies actively promoted segregation rather than simply tolerating.
Wow.
That's telling you who behind this divide and conquer racism dogma.
Yeah.
Right? So here's a more detailed breakdown. Excessive force. Using more force than necessary while making an arrest or while an individual is in custody. False arrest. Arresting someone without probable cause or a warrant. Fabrication of evidence. Creating false evidence to support a case or prosecution. Sexual assault. Committing sexual acts of harassment while in custody and while acting under the authority of a public official. All them traffickers, all them political traffickers of people, right? Deprivation of property. This is when they take your money and they tell you to get in your car and leave. That's what they're talking about. Seizing or destroying someone's property without legal justification, right? Then you got failure to protect. Failing to protect individuals from harm when they are in the custody of the government. They can't protect you in prison. All they can do is react to you getting fucked up. They can't protect you. They can't even protect themselves in prison. If the inmates knew how to organize, right, and they was all standing out on the yard in formation, the police, the guards, the staff would shit themselves.
Yeah.
Because remember, it's called the Department of Corrections, right? And if the leadership among them allow them all to find ways to correct themselves, you don't need the department no more.
Right.
Anyway, discriminatory practice, denying.
Oh shit.
Denying equal access to treatment based on race, religion, or gender. and then failing to intervene, not intervene when another official is violating someone's rights. Almost every police is guilty of that.
Right? That's facts.
Almost every police is guilty of that. They know that their fellow officer is dead wrong, and they won't even tell him, and they'll let him go about doing whatever the dirt he want to do. Almost all of them, even the so-called good cop, not gonna say nothing when the bad cop fucking somebody up.
Right? That's
Right?
messed up.
Every now and then you get one that know how to stand on his feet.
Oh, this right here is like a cover of the Black Christian Codes, the code 1724. Got the Pope sign on it. I think that was the last one. Yeah, that was the last one, man. How long? Let me get back loaded up. Okay, hi. All right. Yeah, Rod. So I got some questions for you now, Rod. And we're gonna take questions from the crowd. Hey, y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Let me see. Can I get us back on that? Stop sharing. Is it froze or something? There you go, right there. Right there, there you go. Yeah, Rod. So this is the questions I got for you. So now that we know that the police has been doing a whole bunch of stuff, but half of the people on the police force, they don't know. And so if you're trying to, like, you can't school them on side of the road. So what's the best way to combat this force without having to get into an altercation on side of the road, trying to run all of this information down to the police?
Basically,
you know what I'm saying?
The side of the road is not the place to deal with that, because you can come up missing and your family will never know what happened to you.
Yeah.
Right. And then just because you right, you can end up like Rise of the Moors. They was right. They had a right to go. They had a right to bear arms. They got a right to go to do tactical training because we got a right to form a well-trained militia. It's in the Constitution. Right? But because they not sanctioned by the colonizers, then they assumed to be acting in an illegal capacity, and they still locked up.
Terrorists. They terrorists if you ain't assigned.
They put that terrorist jack, 'cause they can't even tell you the true definition of a terrorist.
Right.
They haven't came up with a definition yet.
That's right.
Right? The dictionary definition is not the definition they use it. All they saying is they didn't just change the word from nigga to terrorist. That's it. And how do I know that? Because the first person they charged with being a terrorist is Chief Malik Angel Bay, Jeff Ford out of Chicago. And that man was already locked up. And then they took their basic conversations and manipulated, talking about they was talking in code. Right? And same thing they did when they killed that four-corner hustler Prince on the west side. The police killed him and left him in the car, stinking in the trunk. Right? But we don't like to talk about that, because we consider the gang members as criminals because the government told us they was criminals because they refused to do treaties and business with the corporations. That don't make you a criminal.
Yeah.
That make you autonomous.
Right.
The ability to take care of your own and your own needs. And that's illegal in America. Every time we do it, they blow us up. Somebody get Ramona Africa on the phone if you think I'm lying. She'll tell you the story. All they was doing was living off the land in their own little old community to themselves. That people didn't even know they was there till they got bombed, but the government did. People just thought they was regular people. They just, lived in their communal building and they just stayed to themselves. But then the government felt like because they was growing their own fruits and vegetables in the backyard or whatever kind of gardening program they had, and they was living off the land and they wasn't going to the grocery store, that labeled them criminals to the government. Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. What made them criminals? Right? The government didn't want to see them autonomous. Remember, can you pull it up, Google? I want you to pull the cover of this book up called Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send it to myself, because if I try to do it right now, it might cut my screen off.
Yeah, just pull up. Yep, just send the book cover to yourself, because I want them to get this book. Because if you understand what he's telling you in this book, you understand why every time we start being self-sufficient, they destroy us, they bomb us, they burn us, they flood us, all that. See that, that's on the drink.
The book, Rod.
Confessions of an Economic Hitman. It's also a movie, so the movie might come up for those who can't read or don't like reading. The movie that's made on it, but the movie is more theatrical than the book. The book is more informational.
Mm-hmm. I got that book. I'm gonna send it to put it on there.
Yeah. So Trump finally cut ties with Israel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. Remember, I told you they were saving Israel for last. Dragon whips his tail.
Man, look, I thought they weren't gonna cut them off from that 300 billion because Israel said they're gonna threaten to tell us who we are if they don't pay that ransom. If U.S. don't keep paying that ransom, they're gonna tell us. They're gonna go ahead and tell us who we are.
Yeah, if Trump cut him off, he want him to tell us. He dare him to tell us.
They're gonna come clean. I don't know if they ever gonna come. They still probably ain't gonna come clean, even if they don't get their money. They ransom money. I'm sending it to them.
The prosecutor released the Diddy list, but they still ain't released the Epstein list. Let that sink in. They released the Diddy list. They still haven't released the Hillary Clinton emails or the John Podesta emails. Right? We got Hunter Biden laptop information, but that ain't the shit we want. We don't care about no crackhead son of a powerful cracker. We don't care about what Hunter Biden was doing. We want to know who these dirty players is y'all covering for that was going to Epstein Island and violating them babies. That's what we want.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to always remember, everybody that's on the list is not dirty, but everybody on the list that's dirty is on video. Y'all got to remember that part. Everybody on the list not dirty, but everybody that's dirty that's on the list is on video. Y'all got to remember that, because they're going to be trying to run all of these razzle-dazzle plays on you and confuse you about who the real dirty players is. They got them on video. All of the dirty players is on video.
Let's try to see what the fuck I'm gonna do. That cut me off. So the whole time, the police just shooting brothers in the back, and they in fear. They program to every time you see a black guy and he's got some kind of gun or something, kill him. I saw them. It was a white dude that had a knife, and they got called to the scene, and he started rushing at the police with the knife. And they tackle him to the ground and got the knife.
Huh? They do that to some brothers, and they do that to some crackers. And some crackers, they murder their ass too.
Damn.
We don't watch the shooting of the cracker, because that can't reinforce our position as victims. Right? But I'm gonna send you this live I did, Elder, to put up later, where I went over why the police can get away with killing us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm getting it right now. The video. The book. It's flying to it right now. So it's like two different ones, but I'm gonna get that one.
Okay, right now I'm sending you the link to the video. Can you put this link that I just sent you in the description to this video? Because this is a revisit to a video I did back in, I think, like 2019.
Going live here at 154
Yeah, this one was done on August 31st, 2019. Right. So if you could put that in the description so they could see, because I went over a lot of stuff because I got a brother that was I used as the reference because he had the paperwork. He was a certified paralegal. So when he was going over the stuff and then I was explaining what he was talking about. This is the book that tells you the strategy for destabilizing the government in order for you to install your central banking system in order to force people to do business on your terms, right? This is also a movie for the ones who not readers. It's also a movie about it, but the book is better. When I tell y'all all of those outlaws that they made famous for bank robbing was economic hitmen. When you read the book and look back at history and look at the conditions of the day, you can only come to one conclusion. They had to be economic hitmen, right? Because the only thing that was being shut down was our banks. Mm-hmm. And the response to our banks being shut down was the greenback. The first American currency was called the greenback. Mm-hmm. Did I send you the picture of the greenback, Elder?
Nah, you ain't send me the picture of the greenback.
I'm about to send it to you. The greenback was the first instrument of exchange, and it was issued out of at the time of war. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You should have it now.
All right, let me send it to myself. Boom, 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 boom. Man, it's a real bad storm outside right now. Just hoping the lights don't flicker. Cut my damn internet.
Cricket man walking, baby.
Cricket man walking. We walking on the edge. Hey, Big Mama's house. Pull up in the back. Cut the music down. Got the bass in the lat. I'm at your door and all that. 3 knocks, and I'm rocking a small hat. With Skype 8, man, we taking the ball back. They say we hogging the game. We got all the tall cats. Hit them with the circle and the square. I'm trying to find it, man. Just trying it. Okay, it'll be in messages. Hold up, my bad. That's where is it? It's in message pictures. Hit them with the circle and the square. You better not sit up in Big Mama's chair. I got more music coming out too. I'm working on my new album right now, man. Okay, where we at? Damn, so many pictures up in here. He just sent it to me. Okay. Damn, man. Just something, motherfucker. Where is it at? The greenback. Hey, y'all, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Man, where the hell is that damn picture? Right. Okay. Oh, that other picture, that other thing go with it too, Rod? That the snap with the words on it.
Yeah, that was telling us about the greenback.
Okay, all right. Let me get it real quick.
Everything that we naturally did, they've monetized. Anything that they couldn't monetize, they criminalized it to monetize it because all crime is commercial. The United States is a corporation. The police is a foreign occupying military. Right? If you don't understand what the occupation look like, Just watch the police rolling through your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
This a bitch. Crooked cops got this game all twisted. Fucking with me, you gonna end up missing when you kindle the wrath of an insane nigga with a hole in my soul. Platinum back gorilla. I don't give a fuck about a badge and a gun. They hit your ass with heat, bitch, that's hotter than the sun. For one, you motherfuckers think you can't be touched. That academy shit don't get your life speed up to a dark ass place. No fucking screams is heard, guaranteed. Like I breathe that your ass gets served. If all that's left is one breath in my corpse, I'ma snatch your essence, bitch, and end your thoughts. Then wait for you at the fucking gates of hell to crucify your ass to your soul impale. A signpost for Satan to know I ride. General motherfucker in hell is mine. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. FTP. FTP.
That's that NWA.
That was a song I had wrote. The hook was a sample from Eazy-E saying fuck the police and Brother J saying FTP. FTP.
Mm-hmm.
From the X Clan, fuck the police. Yeah.
That's funny.
Guess you already know niggas crazy and sick, screaming fuck the police while I'm clutching my clip. Bitches rolling through a neighborhood giving this grief. I guess it's time these motherfuckers learn the meaning of beef. About 1,000 John Muhammad's posted block to block. These crooked ass cops get popped and dropped. When a general take over, I'ma get out of order. Heat this bitch up, nigga, border to border. And like them old Panthers did, we need the police rolling on our enemies and unleash the beast. Give them the same hell niggas been getting for years. An army of gorillas is the sum of my fears. Drown them in blood up to the Porsche's bridle and apocalyptic fuck the police recital. Fuck the police.
I got it. Hold on. Let me slide it to this.
Yeah, so during the beginning of the country, they needed a way to finance the war effort. So they were selling the greenbacks as like government bonds. And you was using the greenbacks for barter and trade on the land among colonizers.
Mm-hmm.
No. So they had to come up with a means of currency.
I'm pulling it up right now.
While they was being they was at conflict on the high seas. The Civil War was really a war between ships on the sea that, if you read the history, the backdrop to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the ceasefire agreement, it had nothing to do with us. It's called the Paris Accord because it was signed in Paris. It wasn't signed over here. And none of us ain't had nothing to do with it. So this is the greenback. This is the original currency that was being circulated, right? And that's not an American eagle. That's the Roman eagle. Let that sink in, right? Did you get the description, Elder? Let's read the description. We'll tell us the history of it. Greenbacks was the first national currency of the United States, issued during the Civil War to finance the Union war effort. Now, remember, in the war, they told us it was the North versus the South, but it was the United States Union versus the Southern Confederation of the Iroquois nations. The names come from the green ink used on the back of the notes. Greenbacks were significant for several reasons. Fiat money, did I say fiat money?
Yeah, fiat money.
Yeah, fiat money, greenbacks were the first federal paper money not backed by precious metal, but instead by the government's credit. They ain't had no credit because they ain't own shit. The credit was the levy and the liens that was placed on the land. The levy is Levi.
Go ahead.
And the law is about the law, the levy, and the liens. So anytime that the levies get heavy, they blow them.
Go ahead.
Hurricane Katrina, right? So when they levy the lien and they blow the levy, that means that they trying to reinstitute the financial institution.
Right.
You know, everything they doing is a repeat of history. And the only way out of it is to see them repeating it.
Right.
Yeah. So we got some more
Hey,
questions
so-
or whatever you want to do, El.
Yeah, we got some more questions. We've been on about 2 hours already, but okay, it's all good though. We did good. We got to take about a couple more questions. Hey, I got a question for you, Rod. So, being that the police is going out, and I see that now down here where we at, the police it ain't no more police. It's only sheriffs. And so the counties and the parishes. And I noticed that down the county and parishes is named after Native American tribes. You got, it's all Native American tribes, like the counties and the parishes. So that tells you they already know what land is what. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no state lines and all this that they's talking about. The state, like the state of Louisiana. Go ahead.
Yeah, we didn't have state lines. We had land markers as because we did everything according to the layout of nature.
Yeah.
And we tried to follow the pattern that nature created for us to follow. They came with this mentality of conquest and militarization of everything because they had to break it up into smaller bites to control the whole land. Right. So they don't belong here, but there's not enough of us aware yet.
So do it
So there's enough. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so we noticed that the Federal Reserve is broke down to 12 jurisdictions. Now, say like we've been, I guess Louisiana being in Dallas. So do that means that Federal Reserve control all the police within that jurisdiction comes under that Federal Reserve branch, or just the whole Federal Reserve period?
Okay, so the Federal Reserve job is to manage money. That's it.
Go ahead.
Right. The districts was, if the bankers would have took over, the bankers was part of what they call the oligarchy, which was ran by corporations. If the corporations would have won over the tribes and they was going to turn the country into 13 districts. The 13 districts represent each of the 13 Federal Reserve banks. The one that doesn't have a number was the one in DC.
Right.
That's the headquarters. Right. Then all of the satellites, and the model came from the 12 daughters and the Great Mother. Well, we call them the 12 daughters of Isis. Right. Because Isis sits on the 13th seat. That's why it was called the District of Columbia, because they was telling us Columbia or Columbiana is the matriarch of the land usurped. Remember, the Pope sit under her seat. He can't sit on her seat.
Right.
Now, you look at the map, DC is under Philadelphia because the capital couldn't be above Philadelphia. We talking longitude, latitude lines now. It had to be on a lower parallel than Philadelphia. Right. Because it has to represent what the Pope is doing sitting under that big ass seat we went over before.
Go ahead, Big Mama's chair.
Yeah. It's the same symbolism. The problem that they got now is Big Mama that sat in her seat. You motherfuckers cook.
They put them on. They put on Times Square though, so they ain't.
Look, it wasn't just Times Square. Apparently, I got a message. Somebody had sent me pictures. It was like 6 of them around the world. In major cities. Yep.
Yeah, you had did a tape like about 3 years ago on my channel. It was called the Return of the Matriarchs. So we talked about all the different ones that was gonna be returning. Even in China got their own matriarchs. Like every country it's like different different women, big mamas on the land for different races, for all the different clans. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Like, well, most of us, we got to remember the tribal structure.
Yeah.
We didn't have what's called a federal government, right? We had regional governments ran by regional constitutions, right? And the Iroquois Constitution governed the nations under the Iroquois Confederacy. What became later known as the Cherokee Confederacy is actually the Anahuac Confederacy. Anahuac was the tribe that organized all of the northeastern tribes that butted up against the Iroquois Confederacy. And this is how we was trying to defend ourselves from the attackers. And so we had provincial governments, but we didn't have a federal government. We didn't need one. All of the big mamas had the wealth of the land at their disposal. Right? The main big mama originally was in New Orleans till she got murdered by the French. Then the right passed over to North Carolina, where that big mama called all tribes on deck and set off the Gullah Wars. Right? That's why Florida is the finish line. It wasn't, Florida used to be all the way to Louisiana. All them states between Florida and Louisiana, that's all one land. That was where was primarily patrolled and controlled by what we call 5 civilized tribes today, but it was more than 5 tribes involved. Right? And the Louisiana at one time was referred to as West Florida.
Right? Yeah, right? That's right. Yep.
Right. That's because until the English asked King George to set a militarized zone between Florida and the rest of the Florida. So he set up the state that we call today Georgia. Right. And he issued the first charter for a bar association in Savannah. Right. That's so that they can use the tribunals to take all our stuff. Right. They got us believing that the courts is courts, they tribunals, they admiralty tribunals.
Right.
And they were originally installed for salvage rights. They wasn't installed for criminal patrols. They was there for salvage rights to claim stuff for the king. All right. Arkansas and Georgia and Mississippi were all later divided up as states. But it was one territory called the Florida Territory. When you got to Louisiana, you was in Western Florida. Right? Yeah. They tell us that Juneteenth was when we found out in Texas that slavery had been abolished. But the problem with that is Juneteenth, the Mexicans had already outlawed slavery. It wasn't no slavery. We was running to Mexico to get free. We didn't need no damn Juneteenth. That had to mean something else. But what we did do around that time of the year was we used to have the Pitmaster Festival. Right? These people became known as by the last name Pittman.
Yeah, Pittman. Oh, the Pitts.
Yeah. And the reason they was called that is because the Pitman was the master barbecue pitman. He used to man the grill. And all of the big mamas across the South, from Louisiana, from Texas, actually, all the way to Florida, used to have family cook-offs. And all of the pit masters be invited, and they cook all that meat up because the cooked meat was easier to store for longer periods of time than the raw meat. Right? So the pit masters was the ones who invented barbecue, which took us to Haiti in John Dessalines.
Right.
Right? Because his son or his descendant we call barbecue. That ain't no accident. He down there right now fighting the police and organizing the tribes, and they calling them gangs.
Right.
Don't that sound familiar?
Yeah.
He's fighting corruption. He originally was on the police force because he was trying to be, do what's right. Then he found out they're the enemy.
Right.
So now Haiti waking up so fast, right? They done got the water flowing down the new what's that thing called? The aqueduct. That's another name for it. The dam.
Yeah.
Right. They got the dam built. They got the water flowing through the canals that they built and everything, and they able to feed the people now because now they can farm without having to go buckets from a well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because remember, they wasn't allowed to mechanize Haiti. Because every time they try to mechanize it, they create some kind of civil conflict that get everything blew up.
It must
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it must be some kind of like a mineral or something that they get from Hades, and they got to keep them disoriented. The colonizers got to keep them disoriented so they can keep getting that whatever the mineral is that's over there. It's some
they got that. They got vibranium in Haiti.
Yeah, that's what they said. I think I remember hearing something like that.
I think the real name is iridium.
Yeah. See, it's the same storyline that play out. They show us what they did, right? In the movie Avatar. No,
Avatar,
yeah. They had the home tree, right? We over here on our land, minding our business for thousands of years, maybe millions. Hey, we ain't never had no problems. Then all of a sudden they come, find out we got some gold or whatever the case may be, and they want it. They want to take it. And if we don't want to move, they'll blow us up and kill us and wipe and genocide us off our land. That's all it is, man. It's the same story.
You brought up the Avatar. You remember the dude that was running the ship? Mm-hmm. All he cared about was vibranium.
Yeah, yeah.
That was Enlil about the gold.
Right. Same story.
Right. Where Enki was trying to be in harmony with the people of the planet and be in harmony with the planet and not invasively mine. Enlil was like, man, all that gold you sent us, we could have been loaded up on this shit and been out of this motherfucker. Let me show you how to do it. And anybody don't want to work, Gehenna.
In this tape I put out called The Science of Colonization, the main reason, one of the main top reasons for colonization is they want what you got. You got something, they want to take what you got. There ain't no other, that's the number one reason. They got some, they got gold, water, whatever it is, and we need it. We want to take it. And if you nice, because nice really means stupid in their language. If you nice, we would, because they call us nice guys. That's what Columbus said, that we were nice guys. Because we gave, like you said, he came over. We said, "Huh, you want that? Oh, you can take it. I got 10 of them, 15 of them at the crib."
Why would I care about this? This shit grow out the ground. It's part of Earth.
Right. And what really fucked them up, what really messed them up is when we let them hit the wacky tobacco. Because John Smith and them, we let them hit that wacky tobacco, man. They said, oh, they got some stuff, some high power stuff that make you get horny, and it make you nice, and you feel all happy go lucky, right? Because he got some of that sativa, right? And he went back and told them. Next thing you know, they raiding our village, and we.
Well, you guys remember when they first came, one of the main crops they was after wasn't marijuana.
It was tobacco, right?
Tobacco, yeah.
Yeah.
Real tobacco is different from most of the stuff you see in the stores.
That's right.
Right. This is why Cuban cigars is held in such high regard, and the cigars from Dominica and Jamaican cigars, they don't mass produce them in Jamaica, I don't think, but they grow their own tobacco. They tobacco don't have lithium 131 and uranium and all that. That shit ain't on their tobacco.
Yep.
So now you see a dude been smoking in Jamaica since he was 5 years old, and he chain smoked cigars, and he don't have no problems with his lungs.
Yep. I taste the cigar from Puerto Rico, the real ones, and you don't even choke when you hit it. You don't even choke. Like you hit a cigar over here, you choke. You choking all about the lungs out. Over there, you can hit a cigar, man. You won't even choke.
And you get this hell of a body rush. Your whole body feel heavy.
Yep. Tingle like a tingle. Yep.
Yep.
They got the real cigar.
But it's because the nicotine in the tobacco is called a nootropic.
Okay.
That's a brain stimulating agent. You have nicotine receptors in the brain because our ancestors smoked tobacco for so long. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's like Chief Warhorse. You're not finna take her cigarettes from her.
Supposedly,
she tell you ain't taking my cigarettes.
Yeah. Hey, supposedly they use tobacco to counter the Ebola virus. They made like some kind of counter thing from the counter the Ebola, the tobacco. So we use tobacco for healing medicine too. In a way. Yeah.
We use it for medicine. We use it in conjure work. You can see in a lot of those voodoo movies, you see the lady blowing the cigar smoke on the altar. Yeah. All that because it was sacred to us until they started poisoning it.
Yeah.
Right.
They weren't coming over cotton. They was coming over tobacco.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Hey, y'all, we running it a little over, but hey, it's all good. We did it this way. It was a good one. I hope we got for y'all that want to get a better in-depth, straight up tech.
If a Bitcoin was the sum
today, before this tape was the from the notes that Rod gave me, I took the notes that he had gave me and I let AI make a tape from it, and AI did the American police is there on, or they occupying army, are they protectors, right? So what's your answer to that, Rod? Are the American police, are they a foreign occupying military, or are they here to protect us?
The foreign occupying forces. Dang. They're the same as when they send the UN peacekeeping forces to Bosnia and Sarajevo. The same as when they sent the UN peacekeeping forces in Somalia after the Black Hawk Down incident. The same way that they sent them into the Middle East and Iraq and Afghanistan as a peacekeeping. They all got guns though. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But now the police in London don't carry guns. The ones with the guns got to be called by the ones without the guns. Let that sink in.
Dang.
See, they don't have a right to bear arms over there. We have the right to bear arms. And if you leave it up to Rod, I'm going to arm the bears.
Right.
I'm going to arm the bears.
Yeah.
The Black Bear Clan, the Brown Bear Clan, the Polar Bear Clan, the Kodiak Bear Clan, the Red Bear Clan, the California Bear Squad, because it's five. California got 5 bear chiefs, and each one of them is the chief that represents a Califia queen, because it's 5 of them that run the land. Right. And they each appoint a male chief as they administrators. When you go back to our original structure, all of your seats of mayor is town mother. The mayor seat was named after the mayor horse. When we start reclaiming the land, it's called the March of the Mayors. The March of the Mayors, when enough of us know how to reclaim the town, the city, the village, then we meet with the local ones next to us that done the same. And then before you know it, all across the land, we back in charge. But right now, we not ready. Because everybody keep asking the same question. When we going to get the land back? We don't own the land. The land own us.
Yeah, we ain't never. That's what I heard. It said you can't buy sovereignty. Sovereignty, you can't sell it or it can't be bought. It's a right. It's a birthright.
Yep. Yeah. And the caretakers of the land got first jurisdictional supremacy over the land. Mm-hmm. And jurisdictional supremacy of the land give us right to remove rogue governments governments that's occupiers, but we have to be wise enough to know that they not playing by the rules because they will break the rules. So we got to follow our tribal rules, which go all on the outside of what they doing. And the oral tradition tells enough members of the tribes to wake up, man. We ready for our birthright, but y'all got to be on the same page. And this is why we got to put it in the public domain. The administrator of the town was the watchman who used to read into the record the public notices in the town square at the same time every day for a certain amount of days until everybody in the town had ample opportunity to hear it before he go on to the next message. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And today we would say that the mayor sends a spokesperson out, right? Because most of the mayors in the United States are males. They cross-dressers. They sit in a big mama seat for your city, right? And most cities was governed by the 5 biggest families. That's where the 5 family philosophy come from, right? And that's red house matriarchal lines of land management. The blue house is the political branch that negotiate treaties between all of the other tribes. We had different functions, right? That's how Larry ended up being the chairman of the board. Because when all of the tribes reassemble, he's responsible to read into the public record what our people went through, right? He the one is responsible to tell them that we was at war for 500 years and that we finally overcome the obstacle by getting enough of us aware that our birthright is superior to their constitutional mandates.
And you know that people think that this is a war with guns and this and that. They call this a silent war. They call this a silent war because it wasn't fought with guns. This last phase of this war that we having, it's not fought with guns. It's fought with, you got to know who you are. You got to remember.
It's fought with information. It's information warfare. But remember, one of the reasons they call it a quiet war, a silent war is because they declared war on us, but they didn't tell us because they didn't want us to fight back. Yeah. Right. But they wrote it, but they didn't tell us. Yeah. If you don't know so that somebody declared war on you and they catch you out in the streets, you in trouble because you don't even know they got beef. Right. Right. Now, the other thing that show you that the occupancy of the police and the neutralization of the tribal leadership by reclassifying them by misnomers like gang and gang leader instead of tribal leader or chief or miku. Yeah. They don't give us the opportunity to tell our people who we are on the land. But if we know our people well enough, we can tell them the proper structure of how the land supposed to be run, and then they gonna get restless. Man, now, you know what, man? I was listening to that crazy ass nigga, man, but that shit make too much sense. I think he might be right. Let me go look. And everybody that go look come up with a different receipt proving the same point. Right. Same truth. I don't care if it's Earth Speaks. I don't care if it's Gaddy Boy. I don't care if it's We Know the Truth Now. I don't care if it's Robel. I don't care if it's Yaki Awaken, 19 Keys, Red Pill, Blue Pill, Brother Rich, Young Elder, Rod Hayes. We all showing you the receipts from a different angle. We all came at a different life path to collect this information, to put it back in the public domain, to allow as many of us who want to be free to get free. But we first have to get to critical mass of desire for freedom. Right. There's too many people that still believe this shit is legitimate. Right. And it's fraudulent.
And they work
for fraudulent the whole thing.
And they working on behalf of the colonizers. Yeah.
Right. So you know, I got people.
I was gonna say, don't get mad.
I got people coming under my post talking about you ain't no more. Why you speaking no more? It's because you motherfuckers invaded us. Yeah. That's why I'm speaking on Moors, because y'all invaded us.
And they brought the devil over here and dropped him off on.
Them the devils that came.
Yeah, they brought the devil and they brought the, with them.
Now, another part of the silent war is the part that my responsibility was to expose the conjurers. Because you can't close the conjurers until you expose the conjurers. Once people know what conjure spell was used on them, now their spiritual higher self begin to put them in a mental rewiring process to allow them to desire freedom over oppression. And there's three main conjurers. There's Kingu, that's the 6,000 year conjure because the devil has 6,000 years to rule. The Amen spell, right? That's 18th dynasty conjure out of Kemet in the priest wars. And then with the final conjure given to the Queen of England by John Dee was the George Washington challenge conjure that murdered Crispus Attucks, and that's First Blood. Right? So blood in, blood out. Just like they killed us when they came in, guess who get to die on their way out? It won't be us. I just want the opportunity to pull the lever on the guillotine. I want to be guillotines lined up far as I can see. So when it go off, it start off real loud. Chop, 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 chop to the echo in the distance. Chop, 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 chop.
You funny, right? Hey, Rob,
I'll be the executioner. And
saying all the Moors ain't bad. Like I classify myself.
They not. They not. They listen. I don't have a problem with all. I don't have a problem with all Moors. I have a problem with dirty Moors. Yeah, it's a difference.
The morons.
Right. The dirty Moors is them Negropeans, Columbus and them niggas.
Yeah. Right.
Right. All the ones that wrote, they had their faces, they paintings recommissioned to make them look pale so that they can trick us into thinking that the white man don't mean royalty from England. It means something else. We ain't falling for that bullshit. Yeah. The righteous Moors should know I don't got no problem with them. Right. The righteous Moors should know because they should be well studied enough to know that Noble Drew Ali already told them.
Yeah, it's long.
Don't trust your uncle. He'll sell you into slavery.
Right.
And I could count the number of Moors that'll do right. No, he'd say, the only thing that'll surprise me is if a Moor will do right.
Yeah.
In the final days, I can count the amount of Moors that's going to make it on one hand and have fingers left.
One hand. That's still
the most that can make it and have plural fingers left is 3.
Yeah.
Right? So if they know what Noble Drew Ali said, they should know who the righteous Moor is and who the dirty Moor is. Because the dirty Moor is always trying to shut a motherfucker up and talk over him and come with some bullshit telling you somewhere you not. You not in Northwest Africa. Right? But some of the righteous Moors believe that dogma. That's why he wrote the chapter in the Circle 7 called Religious Controversy. Don't fall for that religious dogmatic bullshit is basically what he's saying.
That place over there not even called Africa until they colonized it. So what they talking about?
Africa was named Africa after the Berlin Conference.
Right.
And it's not an ancient name. And the name wasn't Alkebulan either. That's a made up Swahili shit. Swahili was a slave trading language that's Johnny come lately. Alkebulan is Swahili.
Right.
Now, I don't mind calling it Alkebulan. I'd rather call it Alkebulan than Africa, but that's not the original name. Before it was called Africa, all of the maps just called it the Sudan. It was written in the middle of the map, it's across the continent. It just says Sudan.
Kush.
Before it was Sudan, no, Kush was a specific area on the land. Today we call it Ethiopia and Somalia, right? The only thing that what the whole continent was called before it was called Sudan, there are ancient maps older than that that says Ethiopia. And also India was called Ethiopia. And also it was one land. Ethiopia. Yeah, it was one land from Egypt. The Middle East, when you're reading about it in the Bible, when it's a term called Goshen, Goshen, it means extreme provinces of Egypt. Mm-hmm. That was your Middle East, and that was your Northwest Africa. Those were the extreme provinces of the rule of Kemet, Egypt. the Kemetic people, the original Egyptians, they didn't go beyond the Sahara Desert. They left that to the Abzu to be governed from the south of Africa by the Zulu, who was the protectorate of the San and of the Pygmy. Right? So when we looking at all this stuff in modern times, we got to take off the modern glasses and look at it from an older time period, and then you're going to get more of the truth. Right? And right now, Timbuktu is the oldest continuous university on the planet. Right? They got books in Timbuktu that's older than Rome.
And you know who set that up? The Moors. Moors.
That's some Johnny Come Lately shit.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't, Rod. No, it ain't. Mansa Musa was a Moor. Mansa Musa was from a Melodian Moor. I can prove it.
Okay, what make you call him a Moor? Because the term Moor, wasn't. Listen, the term Moor. We didn't went over this, Elder. The term Moor wasn't the term.
I don't care what you say, Rod. The term Moor means one of Aura Chaldea. Anybody that come descend from Chaldea, Abraham. Even if you say Abraham didn't exist, the people who descend from Aura become Moors. Mu means one of. Aura is the city Aura. It can be spelled O-R or U-R. So anybody that Abraham, Lot, anybody you want to deal with,
that's not the origin of the word Moor, Elder.
Man, whatever you, hey, Rod, you can believe what you want. You can say what you want, but I just told you what the origin is. Anybody that comes telling you anything else is full of crap.
The etymology of the word Moor is only about 300 and some years old. The etymology of the word Moor. You putting together two ancient language words as if it's one word. That's more science. That's the dogma.
Rod.
They take the word for ship, M-I-R, and tell you that mean more too.
Rod, what I'm telling you is the truth. You don't gotta believe me. I ain't gonna argue with nobody no more about what the origin of. If you believe what you believe. The Afar people, because you can say African, it can tie in with the Afar or the Akan people, right? And those Afar people are mixed with people from Aura Chaldea, so that makes them Moors. That means Imhotep, all of them were Moors, right? And then Mansa Musa descend from the Afar people. The Afar people are Moors, so that makes Mansa Musa a Moor. Okay. So the Moors set up Timbuktu's college because Melodian Moors, Mansa Musa was a Melodian Moor, descending from the Afar people who were Moors. And that's why they don't got the nappy hair. The Moors had straight hair. So, the Asiatic black man who mixed in with
them nappy head niggas got nappy hair.
Yeah, some of them got an 8 ether. Some of them had 8 ether, like Hala and them had 8 ether because they was mixed.
All you got to do is look at Tipper Tib hair.
Tipper Tier, I gotta look him up again, but I think I know you're talking about to do their own slaves. But I'm telling you, Mansa Musa was a Melodian Moor, and the Moors built the 10th school of Timbuktu. And but the thing is, he came over here and got the gold from over to America. So, and those same people, listen at me, Rod. Mansa Musa and Abu Bakr, who were Moors, came over to America and mixed in with us over here. So that makes some of you over here Moors, just based off of that. And I can keep going.
Listen. I understand what you're saying, Elder. And let me tell you this. There was no people that referred to themselves as Moor in ancient times. Timbuktu is probably about 4,000 years old. There's material. Go ahead. There's material in the Library of Timbuktu and in the Vatican archives that have the ancient history of all this shit. It's gonna come out. It's just a matter of time because we in the age of knowing now. We ain't got to speculate, guess, no more. We can call whoever we want that got brown skin and woolly hair Moor. I don't got no problem with that. I just want to know if they righteous Moor or dirty Moor. Because the Dirty Moors is a distinct group of people called Jacobites, Yacobayim. They're a specific group of people. They landed on Mount Hermon. They made pacts to rape, pillage, and cause mischief and bloodshed everywhere they go. Them the Dirty Moors is who I'm talking about. But the general term Moor is a catch term anyway, and it applies to anybody with dark brown skin and woolly hair. And if you say Tawny Moor, now you done added to light brown niggas with wavy and curly hair. So you know that goes. But remember what Baba said. Remember what Baba said. When we all get together and pull out the records, we get iron out any differences at that point. As of right now, we got a common enemy, them goddamn black devils.
Yeah.
Right? The black devil that made the white devil to sick the white devil on us. Them the problem.
Yeah.
So I don't got no problem with you calling them Moors. Just know that people didn't refer to themselves. There's no writings from back then where somebody say from 1300, 1200, where somebody say I'm a Moor and I'm comely in black. That don't exist.
It ain't mean black or none of that. That ain't mean none of that. It just mean he was from Chaldea. Look, so what happens
right,
is
Chaldean. Now remember, when you translate the word Chaldean, do you know what it means? It means people of the flame.
Yeah, so it means city of light, right? All right, so these were the people. They were.
It means people of the flame, people of the fire.
Lying, light, fire. Come on, Roy. You know
Well, the reason why it matters is because they was referred to, called them the people of the flame, because in the city of was a burning trash dump called Gehenna, where they get their hell concept from. And that was the threat to keep the captives in line, because if they didn't follow the protocol, they was throwing their ass over in there for execution.
Hey, Rod, I'll give you this, Rod. It is what you saying is true about the catch term, and that probably the original Moors didn't call themselves that. They didn't call it. Only the people that called them that was the people that say when they sell, because they were sellers. These people, they built boats. The people that you calling Moors, right? But they weren't calling themselves that.
Yeah, right. When they were boat builders, they were called Phoenicians.
Yeah, they sailed around, and when they got to the last spot in Africa by Nigeria, the people there said one of Chaldea, Moor. That's when they started calling them that. They didn't call themselves that. The Nigerians are these beings right there in West Africa. Called the people who sell there, said that these people come from Ur, and they said Moor. It had nothing to do with black, none of that. And then it got associated with, okay, these people dark. Okay, these people build boats, they can sail. Okay, these people know how to read the stars because they got taught by the 200 fallen, who were the Gigis, taught these because these people come down from their children, right? And so they taught them divination, how to read the stars. So these Moors knew how to navigate the stars using boats, but they wasn't calling themselves that.
The Dogon knew that shit.
Huh?
The Dogon knew how to navigate the stars.
The Dogons are connected with the Moors.
They Syrians. They Syrians. They not Gigi.
Nah, the Dogons is a mix between the Twaman and the Bantu. I mean, Bantu people. The
Twaman. They record where they say they came from.
They say they came from Cyrus.
Right. That make them Assyrian.
Yeah,
they from Sirius.
But if you check their genetics,
they from Sirius. Hey, look, Elder. They from Sirius and they serious.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then the Dogon, Mansa Musa and them had Dogon in them. And that's really what their roots was about. So they made that movie Roots, and they talk about the Kente people. The Kente people is Mansa Musa and them. Mansa Musa and them were princes and royalty over there in Southwest Africa. And they were the Kente tribe or the Kente people. and they gonna steal that and then turn it into roots, and then tell you they kidnapped some dude named Kente and brought him over here as a slave. When Mansa Musa came over here way before Christopher Columbus was even born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm aware of the travels of Mansa Musa. Remember, I've been telling you the whole time we've been marrying tribes from Africa for thousands of years. That ain't nothing new.
Yeah, he came over here and got a wife. Mansa Musa got him a
wife. The royal families of Africa been marrying the eastern seaboard native of this land for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
It was to diversify the royal bloodlines. Mm-hmm. On the West Coast, we was marrying people from Asia,
mm-hmm.
from the Philippines, from Japan, from China,
mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of us don't know that, though, because we don't know about the Chinese road that came through Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, where they was taking in immigrants from China.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The immigrants from China was exiles. They didn't have nowhere else to go, and we take in all orphans.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they had orphan trains running when they cleared Europe out?
Mm-hmm.
And orphans had to go somewhere. They needed somebody to take care of them, and our nice asses took them in.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Also,
being kind and generous to the world, and the world was coming to rape us.
Also, Rod, might I add, another being that came over before Mansa Musa them came over, name was Ho Shin, and he was Asian Chinese man, but they were dark-skinned Chinese, not no pale-skinned Chinese. They were dark-skinned, and that's why when you see some of the Native Americans who got mixed in on the West Coast with Chinese, you see old pictures. You say, "Dang, he looked blacker than us. He looked like he mixed with Chinese, but he blacker than black because the Chinese that came over here were dark-skinned Negroes. That's why." Shit, the Sands people. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, where we keep getting confused at is the root stock of the Americas always been here.
Mm-hmm.
These is your Olmec, Inca, Maya, Mississippians.
Right. That's right.
Right. And as you go south, they started having other native names that I can't pronounce. Because we speak modern English, a lot of those languages, I can't pronounce the words because the way that my vocals have been trained, they almost impossible to pronounce without years of practice.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You know, so the root stock is the main stock. And those are the ones reclassified under the Dawes roll as African American, coloreds, and Negroes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But Noble Drew Ali said, "No, for surety you are not African American, colored, Negro. You are what your ancestors were, without a doubt of contradiction." So the Mississippian culture, when they say we don't got no culture, if we take back what we contributed culturally, wouldn't be no music, wouldn't be no dancing, no new dance crazes wouldn't pop up. You won't have no Soulja Boy up in it. Whoa, you won't have none of that. That's all Mississippian culture.
Right.
You know, the break beat, all that stuff come from the blues. Rock and roll, jazz, soul, R&B, all that come from the blues. Country, bluegrass, that was all the blues. Right. It just was adapted to the times based on the fancy of the artist that was performing. Right? So they change up the music every so often because it's a cultural influence and a cultural phenomenon.
Right. Yeah, man. So it's like this, man. And another thing, Rod, before we get out of here, because I feel like they switched us around on the maps. I feel like a lot of those landmarks they telling us that's over there was originally over here, and they told us we're from Africa, and then they took Ethiopia and put it over there, or they took land masses like we know for sure we found out they found King Tut's tomb in Kentucky. We found out they found what's his name? Alexander the Great, found him in Illinois, his tomb. And the Masons be keeping all it, and Smithsonian Institute been covering all this stuff up.
Like, yeah, that's what they was created for. The Smithsonian, they classify it as a museum because they collect ancient artifacts, but they're not a museum. They are a history altering agency. Their job is to conceal aspects of our history that would cause us to spontaneously become aware of who we are.
Too late for that
Right.
shit.
Yeah, because they mess around and put the wrong nigga on the case.
They might well unhash them damn artifacts. Hey, Smithsonian Institute, cough up them damn half of the shit you can't probably get back because you threw it off into that damn ocean. But the
No,
shit
they
that you
didn't.
got, huh?
Look,
They didn't throw it off. Not the good shit. Not the good
No,
shit.
listen. Most of the stuff they claim they destroyed is they sent it to Rome, Italy. They sent it to Rome, Italy.
Okay.
Like the corpses of the giants and all that. The catacombs run for miles, man. They gotta put a lot of shit down there.
Yeah, I can see that. I heard something about that. I heard they took some of it over there. Some of it under the Vatican. Some of it to Area 51. Some of it to other shit like some of the shit that was real tight. Some of the high dollar black hand guys that got a whole goddamn Kentucky Derby at his house. He got an order. He got he got some $10 million artifact that was our shit sitting up in his house like some kind of like a vase or something. There wasn't no vase, but I'm saying like it's some kind of artifact that he got. He said, "Oh yeah, this is them when they was kings or whatever, making fun of us."
And then you got, they just found his brother went for a DNA test. He got the oldest Y chromosome bloodline on the planet, and he from over here.
Yeah, I was just watching it like a couple of days ago. I often do a tape on it. Now you
did you see the Blue Rain?
No, I just watched the first beginning of where they said that this black dude that's from America has got the real genetics, the original strand. Like this one, like
the first Y chromosome.
Yeah,
the oldest Y chromosome. Right now, they also have you seen in the news about the rain being blue?
No, I ain't seen that part.
So a lot of people don't know what that is. I'm gonna pull something up and I'm put it on the screen.
I wish we could see our screen like on that's one feature that Wilson I need to add. Screen you to add that way, like Zoom, where you can the guests can share their screen. That'd be fire.
Now this right here is what color is ozone?
Blue.
Right.
Okay. It's a blue.
Right. It's a ozone, which is O3, which is a 3-part oxygen molecule, is a pale blue gas. It's also known to be slightly soluble in water and more soluble in non-polar solvents like carbon tetrachloride. Its concentrated forms, ozone can be dark blue liquid, and as a solid, it is violet black. So remember, they was putting chemtrails to terraform the earth. They putting clean trails up there now. The clean trails is to restore what they was spraying chemtrails for. And if you remember, they was coming down with, it was raining like, would look like rock, like concrete. Right? That was the one chemical agent that was used to get a certain chemical out of the atmosphere. Now, whatever clean trail they spraying is pulling ozone along with whatever it is that they trying to clean up, which I'm believing is some form of gas that they was putting in the air, probably lithium or something. But it was some form of gas. And when you take, right. So when the clean trail pulls the gas, ozone is also a gas. So when it comes down in the water, it's going to be pale blue. Right. So we got a whole lot of stuff that's going on. And like the Schumann resonance for the last 2 weeks been off the chain.
Yep. The moon got a rainbow around it. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Then the sun, the solar flares and the solar eruptions has been picking up in intensity and been picking up in frequency. It's just a matter of time before we get what's called the Great Solar Flash. And every motherfucking parasite that don't belong here, they mitochondria are gonna get shut off by the earth when she answers the solar flare with a Schumann burst. You gonna know they don't belong here because they gonna be complaining about a siren in their head. Because it's gonna shut their brain off. But they first have to tell somebody what they're experiencing so we know that the cleanup is underway.
That's
gonna be a spiritual cleanup first. And the ones that's the chaff that don't belong is gonna be turned off. But you got dirty people that still belong here. They gotta come back in another lifetime. And it's gonna be the responsibility of us to put them out their misery in this lifetime. So they can come back when we in the full-blown golden age where they don't have to suffer and they don't have to develop those negative traits for survival. Right? A lot of us not gonna pay me no attention when I'm telling them, but some of us will, and they'll know exactly what's happening. And then the other people gonna be like, that nigga crazy. Man, you listen to that crazy nigga? But it's gonna happen because it's already recorded that it's supposed to take place. It's in the historical record. And remember, according to Elijah Muhammad, the history is written before we live it.
That's right.
Every 26,000 years. This is the end of that cycle, which the last 6,000 years was the invasion of the so-called devil. This devil got his 6,000 years to rule. He lost.
Yeah.
The war in heaven landed on earth. So we've been fighting the war, not knowing we was fighting the war.
Right.
But now we know.
Revelations.
And as my man say, we know the truth now.
Yeah. And they was hoping we weren't gonna say it first now. They was hoping we weren't gonna say it first. Because they was like, oh, hope they don't go and say it. Yeah, well, we went on and said it now. How about that? We went on and said it. They didn't want us to say it, like DJ Khaled said, they didn't want us to say it, we went out and said it. I'm gonna go like my uncle used to say when he be sitting around knowing he a Pisces, right? And them Pisces, they be sitting around watching. They'll know a lot, but they don't want to say nothing. But then when it come down to it, and somebody start messing with their game or coming trying to bother them, they'll say, "Yeah, I saw what you were doing. See, I wasn't gonna say nothing. See, but you coming over here messing with me now. I saw what you did. You went over there. I saw what you did. Them Pisces to call you out, boy. Them Pisces call your behind out. I'm telling you, they be watching the whole time, listening and everything.
Ain't nobody gonna call your ass out like a Virgo.
Yeah.
And the Aries.
Virgo or Aries, you might get into a fight with them now.
It's a very good chance they're fucking with an Aries that you might have to scratch.
You might be rolling on the ground and real fast. I'm talking about like it might go from to there. Now we rolling on the dirt. You don't know what the hell. Man, I'm just like, what the hell just happened? Rolling in the dirt with some goddamn Aquarius. Them motherfuckers fiery crazy, snappy crazy, and don't mess with nobody they love. Boy, you got a problem. They'll pull up on your behind fast.
My mama was the Aries, and she'll knock shit out your ass if you don't act right.
Man, Aries will pop your butt and then pat you on the back and say, "You all right? You had enough? You want some more? I give you some more." I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, Aries, that's a good sign to have as your friend, have as a somebody that's in charge. Even though they could get self, but they ain't no selfish sign.
But remember, it's another spectrum to that too, because you got the ones that's high vibrational, and then you got the low vibrational.
Yeah.
Low vibrational is one of the worst people you want to be around.
Yeah, they're gonna argue all the time. It's always gonna be an argument with them low frequency Aries. They always got to be in control in a way.
That's the same with the low frequency Virgos too. All they gonna do is just be bitching and complaining about everything, but they ain't gonna let you fix nothing for them.
Yeah.
The high vibrational Virgo.
Yeah.
Them the ones I can rock with.
Yeah.
Cause they gonna just flat out tell you what it is. It's gonna be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Virgo gonna give it to you straight now. Virgo gonna give it to you straight, no on the rocks. Maybe not even on the rocks, just straight. Give you a straight shot.
Straight up, no
Virgo give
chaser.
you a straight shot. No rocks, no touches. I'm telling you, I got a Virgo. I know. I'm telling you, straight rocks. I mean no rocks, just straight shot.
All the Pisces I know sweethearts though.
Yeah, Pisces are good folks, man.
I know very few Pisces that be on some bullshit. Nah, low vibration. I'm a Scorpio. The worst Scorpio to have is a low vibrational Scorpio.
Man, I'm telling you, I like
that
Scorpios.
Nigga got, yeah, them motherfuckers gay.
Scorpios, the caretakers, man. They always gonna look out for you if they fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? Scorpios, and now you don't want to get them a Scorpio. You don't want to back them in a corner because you might get killed. They don't tell them how they gonna react from you cornering them. You can't do that.
You really ain't got a corner them. All you got to do is offend them the right way, and that stinger coming out.
Yeah, that's the same. That's almost man. I'm telling you, and it's gonna hurt too. It's gonna be fast. It's gonna be real devil. They're gonna be fast, and you're gonna be like, I thought he was cool. How he gets to go from this to that? Yeah.
Hey, Elder, I got something I wanted to mention to you before I forget while I'm thinking about it. My boy Lazarus from the Messiah Code, man, you gotta check him out.
Lazarus.
Lazarus Lamel. He won the Malachi Boys. But he out cold with them numbers though.
Okay, I'm gonna check him out.
He out cold with the numbers. I want to link you up with him so he can do some lives with you.
Yeah. Give him my number if you give him my stuff. If you already got his information.
Yeah, I get in touch with him. I make sure he can get in touch with
you. When you want to do it, yeah. I'm always, I'm nonstop action, man.
I know.
Busy.
Well, I believe in throwing alley oops.
Yeah, we can get busy.
I believe in throwing alley oops.
Yeah, especially if you're down with Doc.
I believe in throwing alley oops, but when I first came out back in 2019, 2020, he was the first person that seen me and came do an interview with me.
That's fine. That's fine.
The first person that gave me an open platform was Crumb.
Okay.
Right, from Crumb TV.
Yeah, that's throwback.
Yeah. So one of my homegirls, Malika, she from Cali, or she in Cali, but she the one. She's like, you ain't never heard of Crumb? I was like, no, I ain't never heard of Crumb. She said, here, I'm gonna send you his page so you can check him out. And I was going through there, and there was some headbanging stuff on there. And he had did an interview with the sister, and they was talking about the rogue patriarchy. And then I wrote like 3 articles on this page about it, going into the mitochondria and the matriarchy and all that.
Yeah.
And the rogue patriarchs and what they did. So he was the first one. Crumb was the first one, gave me a platform. Lazarus Lamel was the first one that actually interviewed me and asked me some questions. I wonder where that interview at. But anyway, he was the first one that interviewed me, and he had came all the way up here to Michigan, to Flint. Wow. So I drove up to Flint. Yeah, so I drove up to Flint to hook up with him, man. We had a blast. And then he was at the sister house. She had cooked. She was throwing down, boy. She had cooked like it was Christmas.
Man.
But he good people, man. He talking about somebody that's really working hard to try to make a way for his family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gonna dig him though. He cool as hell, man. And he went up.
We're going to go live, man. I got a couple of people I'm finna start getting in touch with to start doing more features and stuff. But I'm doing so many tapes. I think I'm almost caught up on getting all the stuff that I should have been taught a long time ago, like all the religion and all that. Once we get past, we passed there, I think, out right now. So I'm just I'm finna go into shit that they ain't never heard before. I got something. I'm telling you, man, this next extraterrestrial book I'm finna put out, all the next level information. I'm teaching shit. I'm teaching high science from now on. I'm telling you, man. Like I'm almost done teaching like all this stuff. Like we should know who we are now. Everybody should know who they are at this point. People still don't. Now, if you, hey, I'm gonna tell you before we get out too, for all you people that's new to the channel and you want to find out what tribe you are, you can go to my playlist, go to Native American Chief playlist, and then scroll down to the Tracing Your Ancestral History tape 1 through 6. And it's got the last names, blood type, all that, and tribal names, tribal map, to where you can kind of like find out where your 4 generations back where your grandmother was, and then you find out what land that was, what tribe was on that land. I got all that in them tapes, right? And the Tracing Your Ancestral History part 1 through 6. And they sleeping on. I just made a new playlist called the Teachers of Tahuti, and so I got a whole bunch of tapes in that playlist. And some of them is like the 1 through 7, what I teach the basic information, the Tahuti information. But I got more stuff that's finna come out though, because Tahuti finna be channeling me. Tahuti finna channel me. So I'm finna like this whole week. So this whole week I'm finna be channeling Tahuti this whole week. I'm finna go into. I got my green light. I got my green candles. I got my green pyramid. Look, I'm about to get ready to channel Tahuti all week. He gonna be too.
All that green elder pops might pop up.
Hey, I'm telling you, look, Doc come in sometime too. But
you know he Al Qadir.
Right, the green light. and see, we are the sons of the green light. That's the ancient mystic order of Melchizedek, the sons of the green light. And Tahuti is a part of that green light, that same order, right? So it's like this. I really can channel anybody in the order, but this week I'm channeling Tahuti because Tahuti want me to he got some stuff that he want me to put out that's gonna cause another click to happen, a click in another part of our DNA to reactivate. Because right now we in the process of reactivating the junk DNA. They say, 90% of your DNA
ain't no junk DNA.
That's junk DNA. They just don't know what it is. They just don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Look, when the 12-strand DNA got upgraded, it became a 2-strand DNA.
Mm-hmm.
The upgrade is the downsides.
Right.
When we had 12-strand DNA, we were 50 feet tall or taller.
Right.
Right. We were too big.
Yeah.
We were taking up too much space.
Right.
We was absorbing too much oxygen. So when we upgrade the DNA, it downsized the body of the human.
Right.
So you get to the form we in now.
Yeah, Doc said that we're gonna get small, we're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Because your granddad used to wear size. I know my granddad used to wear size 15. My dad wore size 14, 15. You know what I'm saying? I wore size 12, but like people's feet getting smaller. Like my cousin, he wear size 8.5. He a grown ass man with an 8.5. How is that fucking happening? A grown man with an 8.5? Come on, man.
Look.
Huh?
When I was in my 20s, all the way till I was almost 30, I wore a 10.5.
Me too, yeah.
Then one day I went and put on some 10.5s, and them mugs was biting so hard, I went and got me some 11s.
Yeah.
I'm in 13s now.
Yeah, that's the same. I'm in 12s. I was wearing 10.5 for a long time. Yeah, but like 8.5 is crazy though for a grown 40-year-old man. Like that you twice something, you know.
It depends on how tall he is.
Yeah, it depends on how tall he is. Yeah, but on that note, man, we about to get up out of here, man. Let everybody go and get them some sleep. Hey, y'all, we'll be back. I'm gonna try to get old boy that Roy talking about. Maybe we can get him on one day this week. But like I say, I'm gonna be channeling Tahuti all week. So the stuff that's gonna come out, it ain't coming for me. It's coming for Tahuti. You know what I'm saying? It's about to come out this week. And you see that the Atlantis tape. It's a part 2 of that because after Tahuti,
You should put the AI you did on the subject we covered today.
Yeah.
You should put the link in the description for this video.
It's already in there. It's already in there. Yeah, it's already up in there.
Yeah, and then put the one I sent you.
Yeah.
The link I sent you from my Facebook page. Put that one in there too, because that's going to take them back to another time when I was discussing at an earlier time, and I was approaching it from a different angle. But it's the same type of understanding about the police. Like why is they police violence, tolerated?
Yeah, right.
Right. So,
yeah. Right. Hey, y'all, we'll be back. we're gonna be back, man. We love you all. We send peace throughout the boundless universe to all. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, happy we going to, it's almost over. But like I say, happy Mother's Day to all the matriarchs on the land. We hope y'all had a wonderful, blessed day today. Beautiful day today. And we're about to get up out of here, man. We love you all. We send peace and love throughout the boundless universe to all. Wadu. Peace. Love.
Wadu.
Shalom.